mu parliament saako n'abakungu abali ku budget committee awo mu parliament abasinga okubanga bongeramu ensimbi ezaabwe era ne bajja ne bakutuuza bagaa Kimbugwe gwakulira ekitongole ekyaba kya Union Events naye tubadde tulaba nti weetaagamu trillions nga 2 kakati tudde okuba guno n'enkuba guno bwe tumaliriza era no ffe 20% yaffe noba ng'ogituwa.
Waliwo abuuzizza ekibuuzo nti ne bageza ne bamubbako briefcase ku ssaawa eno kiki ekiyinza okubaawo basebo ne bajja bembalirira abagiyina ewalala eno just briefcase
kino tukola mukolo naye tolowooza kibanga bwebamala okulangirira abagole bwe n'ogamba nti bw'obabbako marriage certificate obufumbo oba obuyiiye
ate era waliyo n'alowooza nti omwo mwe muli trillion ensanvu mwebiri awuliriza oba tulaba embalirira eno nga nawe mumase yakinyonyoddeko nti nga nawe ewuwo bwe munaakola omukolo nimugaya katukole budget tulabe ennyingiza tugenda kuyingiza setemeka then n'ensaasaanya yaffe era bwe kiba kigaanyi nga twabala miliyoni 50 nga sente ezo ziremweddwa okuba nti tuzisika mu bantu kakati tujja kusalako tambulire ku miliyoni 50.
Njagala kugenda mu breakdown y'ebintu okurelating embalirira y'omwaka guno n'oguli naye kansooke njagala Brian asooka amalirize kiri ekyokunaanula ku kigere ntunga nti ffe Abannakenya kale bali mu 1016 naye naffe twagala kutuuka we bali oba Tanzania eri mwana mu mwenda yemanyi esoobe ffe tuli ku speed
kyekiri kye nadde nkugamba ekibuuzo kiwasoose okumbuuza nze nakikuzeemu ne nkugamba nti ensonga etuteeka ku 72 trillion erimu ensonga nnyingi ebbanga ddene tubadde tugezaako nnyo okwerangirira mu kwerangirira okutuuka mu middle income status naye nga tetunnabakola ki kutuukayo kati embeera yonna etusiiga akazigo ak'okututuusa mu nsi ensuubize tujja gikola at whatever cost kyekiri kye nakugambye
naye nga twatuuse mu middle income manyi gwosekerera nnyo Uganda mu kutuuka mu middle income
anti kyenkugambye nti gwe yadde ogamba twatuuse mwasooka ne mutugamba mwatuukadde emyaka 3 emabega ojjukira bulungi nga mwera ne bava ne bagamba nti temunnatuuka kakati era nakati mugamba mwakoze eki mwatuuse which is okay naye kyenjagala okukulaga nti biki ebyongera okukulaga nti otuuse twogere ku musolo gukuŋŋaanyizibwa wano bw'otunuulira tax to GDP ratio gye tulina mu Uganda eri wetwogera kati eri ku 13.9 approximately 14%. Bakulaga nti okutandika eggwanga lyo okulabwanga eggwanga eritandise okwetengerera tax to GDP ratio ekitone nnyo kale waakiri wano mu Africa kunuukiriza kale waakiri 17-18%. Tuli mu 13. Kitegeeza nti as much as ffe tuvayo ne twerangirira nti tutuuse naye ebibalo byonna ebiriwo bitulaga oli ku 72 trillion. URA bwetuuka okukuŋŋaanyiza tekuŋŋaanya even 50%. Nzijukira omwaka oguwedde bwe twali wano twasaba nnyo nti singa URA tufuba nnyo etuuke waakiri ku bitundu 6 ku 100 ng'etukuŋŋaanyiza omusolo singa tuli bulungiko naye tuli mu ggwanga nti bw'otunuulira omusolo engeri gye tugukuŋŋaanya kikyabulamu nnyo bw'otunuulira debt gye tuyina otuuse mu kiseera nti olw'okuba oli extravagant kiri ky'obuuzizza ku economies z'oyagala otukompayaringako nti okuŋŋaanyiza 72 trillion ye budget yo kikyogenda osinga osaasaanyako sente gwe Tanzania gwoli mu kwogerako mbw ayina 49 trillion
tulanga asooba
gwe walabye ali mu middle income on top of being in middle income priorities ze wazirabyeko ajja kulaga nti tundu erisinga obunene ku sente zagenda okusaasanya teziringa zo zakusula mabanja gwokola otya 72 trillion nga almost ebitundu 5 ku 10
osasula banja
toyina woosize sente kyokka nga ne mabanja goli mu kasolo eri amabanja agakyali ku akawunti gye wageewolera teganna bagenda kukola
gayongebwa
Ministry of Agriculture yazizaayo 200 billion esente zabadde za value addition eyo chain eyo fertilizers kuyamba balimi nezizaayo
kati kyekyo nti osobola okuba ne budget
za kwewola
weewoze zikole obwetaavu bwebuli tezikoze otulaze nti ate katuyagala kuzizayo kati ono omuntu eyakuwola zikole boddayo okumwewolako akugana naye luli nakuwola n'okuzikozesa ne kukola ki kyokka ng'obwetaavu bwali kati ekyendi mukulaga nti olina 72 trillion ne bwe tutunuulira ensaasaanyayo where are your priorities ebitundu ebisinga obunene bigenze mu kuzzaayo mabanja kyokka ate bw'omala okuzzaayo amabanja essente eziddako ziri mu governance and security can you imagine nti percentage eddako awo obunene ng'ogyeko human capital kuba human capital lwakuba kale tukitunuulira mu ngeri nti misaala gy'abantu n'okulaakulanya abantu naye return on investment eya human capital bwe tukugamba okugicalculating eyinza okulema
era bo bannayuganda basiga ekifaananyi nti mu ngeri y'okubanga ebintu tebakyabitegeera human capital development kwe kubanga tosobola babuuza kozi wakola ki kozi wakola otya
naye bwobanga
ne batalaba ssente zikomawo ku pdm emyoga tegikomyawo naye nga ate girina
amawanga gali goyogeraku go kye gatusinga nti bwe gamala okukola embalirira yaago bw'otunuulira priorities bajja kulaga nti if you want to modernize agriculture nga bw'ogambye nti agriculture modernization agromechanization nabiki nga bw'okyogedde oluzungu lungi
industrialization kitegeeza okugattako omutindo okukozesa ebyuma
kati bw'omala okubuulira eggwanga nti backbone yo agriculture
twali tukikubaganya ekyali backbone
okiraba ekintu ekyo oyinza okuba ne backbone nenga kakati bw'omala okukola ekyo ekifaananyi kyotusigira twagala tukirabe mu budget nti bwe watuusa osaasaanya lwaki human capital n'omuteekamu ssente nnyingi kitegeeza nti ssente ezisinga obungi ozimalira mu kwesasula naye gwe yeesasula ogasizza ki
Brian ajja kubayo akunnyonnyole nti obulungi bwe tulina okukola kusomesa baana kuteeka ddagala malwaliro kuteeka ssente mu ssako emyoga PDM agambye nti human capital
ate butagala oyogere ku PDM kuba PDM naye bwe tunaamutuukako naye ojja kumulya naye kyenjagala okukulaga mase nti bw'otunuulira human capital wano priorities zaffe nfu tuli very extravagant parliament tugyononerako ssente mmeka Parliament erimu abantu abatwonoonera obudde
yafunye 978 billion independent
kiba kitegeeza nti priorities zaffe tusetinga nfu bw'otunuulira wano tourism y'omu ku basinga otuleetera ssente ne tourism taweza even half a trillion taweza na billion 5 bamwadde billion 4 tourism atuwa ssente nnyingi kakati bw'ogenda mu bintu ebizza kiri kye nakugambye return on investment ogenda okulaba nga priorities zo osettinga nfu human capital wantu mwononerako ssente nnyingi nnyo tusasula ba civil servant ssente nnyingi nnyo naye mu kubasasula tugenda okwekanga nga at the end of the day return on investment eriki enguudo zaali badde nnungi okuzikola naye bwe tuba tukola enguudo zino tubala ekya return on investment lwaki tukola enguudo eziyitako ebisolo ne tutakola nguudo ziri mu central business district ewasinga okuva ssente ekyo ekintu it beats the psychology of a taxpayer nti netosobola kuŋŋaanya musolo mase n'ogujja kukwalisa n'ogenda n'okola oluguudo
enguudo ezikoleddwa teziyitako bisolo enguudo eziri mu kukolebwa n'ezikoleddwa zisala okudda mu nsi endala era zonna zimalayo bumazi zamwasanjala endala ze ziyambako eziyise wamu tekijjawo
kyenkugamba byetutwala bivaawa bitwala tugenda kubijjawa
biva mu Uganda
gye biva wali y'amakubo kyekyo ndi mukulaga nti gwe tokola nguudo zimwasanjala nga ebintu bino gye bigenda okuva si wakole bo bagenda bituusa batya ku mwasanjala kitegeeza gwe oyagala bo bakole naye ng'ewaabwe gye bakolera tebakulaakulana oli akugambe nti eyo tuli balimi bamwanyi ekasanda wano tulima emmwanyi okuva nga bw'otuuka ekasanda ne bakugamba emmwanyi ze bafulumya nga bw'otuuka tosobola na kubeerayo yadde okuzimba y'akayumba lwaki kitegeeza nti ewava omusolo wano waawo priority omuntu onaddemu amaanyi agawa omusolo lwaki CBD yandibadde efaanana bweti wasinga okuva omusolo naye gwe ogukwata n'ogudaivatinga n'okolera abalala enguudo ekyokukola enguudo yes naye return on investment bw'okola oluguudo lw'e Kampala ku ssente z'ojja e Kampala ne bwerufa mu myaka egi sente ezirukola
omanyi China bwe yali penetrating akatale ka Africa yawola abantu nebawa enguudo ez'obwereere neekola ebisaawe wano mu Uganda ekoze ebintu bingi nga kyegezaako okuteekawo kwe kulaga nti nyina kyemba wadde n'olwekyo bwe mba ndeesa akatale kange ebintu byange tosobola kungoba
yabiteekawo no grant yabiteekawo no loans
waliwo byetuwadde waliwo China byetuwadde ne wabaawo n'ebyo byetuwadde mu loans era grants ezimu eziva China endala ne ziva mu mawanga amalala naye katukwate butereevu ku nsonga y'enguudo omanyi enguudo baazongeza kansile kuone yakola ku tawuni kanso yakolako yo ebintu by'enguudo abimanyi
kanso yawa
wakiso lusewe yakolera ku tawuni kanso
yali mu tawuni kanso
abantu ba tawuni kanso bamanyi
we yabeerera embi we yabeerera ennungi genda
wonna we yabeerera embi
nyabo genda mma
sebo kimbugoto tutaganya show ebya transport byavudde 2023 bafuna trillioni 4 babongedde trillioni 5 ku mbeera y'enguudo nga bw'oziraba ku mbeera ya infrastructure nga standard gauge abalala bagimala ffe tuli wano fact waliwo yaleeta wano ebyuma ebituula ku standard gauge nga tebituula ku 48 billion simanyi lwaki tebannaba mukwata nga bakutte bano ababbye 11 billion kisaanidde abantu bano okwongerwa ssente ku mbeera ya infrastructure mu by'entambula nga bwe tuli
bajeti eno nga tutandika nagyogeddeko neŋŋamba nti ekituufu nnungi mu bulungi bwayo eri mu 72 trillions naye singa tewabeerewo omukono ogw'ekyuma iron hand byonna tugenda kubanga twoza esaati nga bwenjambadde n'ogivulugavuluga mu ttaka lwaki nti ebitongole ebikola ku nguudo nga mwemuli wax mwemuli UNRA mwemuli ne bannaffe abayisa ssente waggulu awo ab'obukiiko nga bakyakwata ne bajja mu nkuba abantu abalala bonna tukyayoza netuteeka mu ttaka lwaki ekituufu nze kyendowooza ti mu ggwanga lino Pulezidenti Museveni kati nga bwe yavuddeyo okuluma alume amege n'okumega lwaki bw'anaavaayo mu mbeera eyo bwetyo abakulu bano nga bwe batwaliddwa eruzira ne batavaayo mu simanyanga mbu oli alina sukaali ono alina puresya simanyanga yeetaaga kooti beyiro yeetaaga kooti simanyanga akola kutya n'avaayo nga tumaliriza n'avaayo naye ku mulundi guno ne basibwa ne bamala okusibwa n'abalala ne balabirako mase ezo sente zijja kukola nga tebazeemu nakuyisa supplementary ekizibu ekiriwo kiri muki oŋŋambye nti ebyo bya building biki ebyo mbimanyi bulungi nnyo bagenda ne bagamba nti kakati twagala okukola oluguudo lwa kilometers 20 ne bayita building n'oyitamu naye mu kuyitamu ne bakuwa billions nga 2 zogenda okubanga okolera oluguudo olwo nga tonatandika kukola luguudo wulira chain eno ogenda okutandika okukola oluguudo nga gwe oyina 1.5 billion nga milioni 5 zo zigiddwako n'oluguudo tunatandika zigenze waba Kimugwe zigenze waba Masiba wasinkana zigenze ewabani abalala ekyo kinaba kikyabeerawo era ojja kuwulira nga ezo billions trillions zebataddewo 5 zigenze nga bakomyewo mu supplementary ekizibu ekyaliwo olunaawona wekinaalwanyisibwako ekyobuli bwenguzi obulyake n'obukenuzi wano tujja kuba tutambula bulungi
mu ddakiika ntono nga tuwunzika tufune omugenyi atwegatteko wano mu nnabyanfuna angende eri Brian atuwe biki byasuubira mu mbalirira y'omuhaa gw'ebyensimbi 2024-2025
embalirira ekirungi ebisinga insights tumaze okuzikoonako naye nga embalirira yo kyoba omanya egenda kutunuulira nnyo butya bwe bagenda okwongera okuŋŋaanya akasente tewali woosuubira bintu bigenda kendeera ebintu ebisinga bigenda kwongezebwako omuki omusolo wakati mu kubyongezaako omusolo kitegeeza ki eri munnansi akabinze kemmanyi ku nkola eyaffe eya bulijjo wano nga tusoma budget nti tetufaayo nnyo kwani gwe tugenda kuzijjamu ffe kye tuba twagala kulaba nti tuzimugyeemu tuzimutaddeko kuba kakati sente zayongezebwa ku mafuta ojjukira nga abantu bazeemulugunyaako naye ogenza okugamba nti ogenda kwongera akasente ku mafuta ku lita y'amafuta nga otugambye ozudde amafuta mu ggwanga lyo bw'omala ozuula amafuta mu ggwanga lyo omuntu yalisuubidde nti amafuta gaalikendedde ogongeddeko omusolo otugambye UNOCO egenda kulekeraawo okujja amafuta ebweru egenda kuweereetera amafuta Uganda etandika okuyingiza amafuta ate bw'omala otugamba ekyo n'otugamba nti ate era amafuta ogenda gongerako omusolo g'amazzi ekyo kyamaze okutegerekeka bottled water ye bamwongeddeko omusolo
cement bamwongeddeko then amafuta ne bongerako 10
naye kyenjagala okulaga nti bwe tuba nga tusetinga priorities kati olaba cement okumwongerako omusolo weebuuza nti ekigendererwa ki tuli mu ggwanga nga ku price ya cement aliko ebizimbe bikuba abantu njagala kuwa kyakulabirako oleda abantu ne ku sente eziri bwe bakozesa cement mutono ebizimbe ne bikuba abantu kakati okugongeza sente ku cement ekigendererwa kyo kyabadde ki wabadde gwofa kunoonya sente naye bw'obanga oyagala okukuza real estate anyway kati bo baleka kye batunuulidde nti real estate ekuze nnyo tugitaayize ki ekisinga okutambula ennyo mu real estate cement kakati awo nawo tutagetingewo kakati naye ekigendererwa mu kyo kyekiri kye baakola ensobi ey'okwongeza omusolo ku pampa nga balowooza nti bagenda kulwanyisa ebisiyaga tugenda okukizuula nga pampa bwe zaalinnye ebbeeyi omuli w'ebisiyaga agisobola omukadde mukyala abadde ajambala olw'obukadde bwe n'okuba nti takyasobola kweyamba ng'ate ye takyagisobola kakati kyekyo nti you set the priority wrongly kakati kyekimu ne wano nti sementi omwongeddeko naye ebizimbe bibadde bikuba abantu lwa sementi wa kibogwe kati bw'onaayongerako kigenda tegeeza ki
mudakikemu Isaac
weewaawo nze njagala kukubiriza bannayuganda nti olwedde bino byonna byetwogerako tekirina kye tuyinza kukyusa bino omukulu Matiya Kasaija agize tusomera busomezi wabula si kukubaganya birowoozo naye just twagale tukolage nti you have to tighten your belt obuse 7.2 busuubirwa okuba nti obusinga bwonna bugenda kuva mu ggwe sente ezisinga ezigenda okuva eweeru w'eggwanga ezo zenteni ennyo naye nga Kimbuga wagambye twongere okubanga bino tusibyakusaba twongere okubanga tusiba
toyagala abantu basabe obagobye kusaba
omanyi economics bino sibyakusaba because no one asaba tegena kukyuka ate era kyoba omanya Masenga tumaliriza nti kati wantuli kubuse 7.2 naye tujja kubanga twakaisawo kota even neemu yokayoka
kusaba kuseetula ensozi
amina mama tujja kubanga
papa no okyali ku ebyo papa Vatican yalangiridde era kiri kumpi kuyisibwa nti tekyali mu misa takyayagala samoni esukka ddakiika 8 papa Vatican agambye sikyayagala kulaba ayimirira katuuti
oba ye yabadde abalanga bo baagala samoni tugenda kukola yazituhawo tweyanziza nnyo tweyanze olunaku olwaleero atimu ogirabye gw'onooyawula oba kawerete oba ki oba kabiriiti ogituuma erinnya naye tuli mu mbalira y'omwaka gw'ebyensimbi 2024-2025 buse oba trillion ziri 7.2 emikolo emikulu giri Kololo era ku ssaawa 8 tugenda kuba tukutuusaako butirevu ebigenda maaso e Kololo mukadde kano njagala tugendeko mukumulako bwe tudda tugenda kudda ne munnabyanfuna mukugu atusigire torch bino bitegeeza ki eri eggwanga eri abantu business n'ebirala byonna katugende mukumulako tovaawo
think that we are tackling signs and symptoms. Some Mara, I know what you have been pushing. Honorable Some Mara. I know.
It's called Paul, for the record.
With their money, which has no tax. But these same people, they are striving to target one client. Honorable member, NRA. When you look into their 10-point program, there is what we call restoring economy. But the question is, if you look at 80% of our economy is being manned by the foreign banks. So to me, it's about the policy. You need to look at the policy. The high rate, the cost of business, of doing business, it is affecting the entire economy. So if we can discuss that, I've already presented something to the speaker. I think next time we need to come and see how we can organize our economy. Otherwise, business people are stressed.
Thank you.
Special edition balirira ya mwaha gwa byensimbi 2025 gwe tulaba munnabyanfuna tubali tugezaako mulaba ng'ali mu kakiiko ka parliament agezaako okubuuza ab'ebyenfuna era mu bigambo byenkutte ndowooza ng'abagamba economy eri stressed. Munnabyanfuna mukugu omukulu Magufuli Moses gwe naye mu studio agenda kuba atunnyonnyola
estimate. We are borrowing little externally. Much of it will come from within us. That's good.
Honorable, that makes it difficult for a business person who is trying to get a loan to business. It also makes loans very expensive for them since government is in the same market. The bank prefers giving government money than an individual there. Aren't you just crowding the economy and squeezing the little businesses that are surviving even out the more?
No, we are not crowding out the businessmen, because there is then money which is subsidized, which is there are facilities, agricultural facilities. There are many facilities which are given into these banks to serve the business community, and then you are giving money through human capital development. You're giving in money through recapitalization of banks. Then there should be a means to get that money out. Otherwise, our economy will collapse. On inflation, we'll be carrying sacks of money to buy bread.
Thank you very much, Honorable. I appreciate your time. You have heard from her on what is happening there. We have the speaker showing up here, and we'll be getting to them. You can see them there. That's the deputy speaker showing up, Right Honorable Thomas Taiwa showing up there. And also we see the Right Honorable Amon showing up now, and that means we are about to get started here. That's the arrival of the Right Honorable Speaker. And we also see quite a number of dignitaries also showing up here. But we'll be getting into some of those even as they show up. You see all the photo moments happening with her. She'll be taking a seat there next to the Minister of Finance, Honorable Kasaija. And then we'll be able to see how we get started. We need the president here to get started with this function and parliament to kick off and declarations that happen in this place here. So we now have the speaker, so that means we are not far from where we're supposed to be starting with the reading of the speeches. This first speech will come from the Minister of Finance, Honorable Matia Kasaija, and when he's done, we'll be able to invite the president, who will give us what the year is going to look like in 2024, 2025 there. And we're grateful that she has joined. A lot of photo moments there. But the biggest concern is debt in this budget, 34 trillion, to be able to have that here. I am also joined by Honorable Margaret Muhanga. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Are you well?
I am good.
Your anticipation for this 72 trillion budget, your thoughts about it, especially in your docket of health there?
Yeah, in my docket of health, we really expect to give an ambulance to each and every constituency in Uganda. We've so far given out 160 constituencies, but remember there are about 250 something constituencies. So we want to have at least every constituency with a running ambulance, a brand new ambulance, well equipped with everything so that we can be able to evacuate our patients from place to another. The other thing I pray for is that they increase the funding for primary health care, because as a health sector, we are actually grappling with 75% of our disease burden is non-communicable or preventable. So we want to move to prevent diseases as opposed to treating them. It is much cheaper, 1,000 times cheaper, to treat non-communicable diseases and these diseases of lifestyle. They are easier to prevent than to treat. The moment people get those complications, cardiovascular diseases, heart disease, cancer, it's very difficult and very expensive to treat them. But there are remedies for you not to get them. You may not be diabetic if you are a very active person, you exercise a lot. If you check your partner before you get married for sickle cell disease, you will never have a career, a sickler. So all these things need to be checked before people get married, but none of us does that.
When you look at the portion that has been given to the Ministry of Health, is this enough for all Ugandans to access health?
They are going to unveil the budget. How did you know what has been given to who or what?
The breakdown,
Yet.
the breakdown has been given to us, Honorable, but what to anticipate?
Indicative figures.
What would
indicative figures, and they keep changing.
What would you be anticipating for every Ugandan to be able to access medical health and to have healthy Ugandans that are productive?
Insurance rollout for everybody will be the only solution to people spending too much money on treatment. Health insurance, where a person is just putting 1,500, really, 15,000 shillings. 15,000 is very little money, really. Everybody can afford that per year to have free treatment.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Let me leave you to go and get refreshed, and then we'll be getting back to some of the conversations here. So that is Honorable Margaret Muhanga, the Minister in charge of primary health, and we have been discussing what has been allocated to the health sector. She hopes that we can be able to get insurance for everyone in the country at 15,000 shillings. That is her dream and hope there, but can it be realized in there? Because human capital, which is at about 9.1 trillion shillings, involves health, involves education, and money trickles down in such a program. You know that 3 years ago we left sectoral budgeting into program budgeting, which means human capital covers things like education, covers things like health, and ensures that all those things happen. And governance and security includes State House, includes the UPDF, prisons, and police, and they get the second biggest share of the lion's share there. That's the breakdown of what it looks like. But also when we go further, especially in debt, which debt we will be paying 34 trillion shillings, and we'll be 8.9 trillion shillings domestically and about externally. What does that mean for our debt, which is already soaring in the 93 trillion shillings, about 49, closing into 50% of every 100 shillings, 30 shillings is paid to taxes. Rollover, which is about maybe 14.4 trillion shillings. And when we go further to look at what the breakdown of some of this money looks like, it's one of the concerns that we have. Ugandans seem to be going to carry even on. If you look at an ordinary Ugandan, you're paying, either if you're working, you're paying payee, and you're going to pay payee and more taxes in there, which come to about 45%. You have VAT because it is trickling down from the manufacturer to the wholesaler to the retailer to you, the end consumer, which is about 18%. You pay about between 65 and 67%, leaving you with about 43 or 33% of your money as disposable or your purchase power there. What can you do with 33? Because the income is not increasing, the prices of goods are increasing. But also when you look at what we get from our markets, either tomatoes or bananas, the prices for food stuff has gone up, and lastly that we checked, it was about 23% there. So that's the budget reading we're going to be having here at Kololo, and we'll be giving you updates even as the guests come in. But from us here at Kololo, we're really grateful. My name is Timothy Nyangweso, and we hand you back to the studio. It's like we've been together for the last 12 hours.
It's been a roller coaster. And we are here. We left late last night, UBC behind the headlines, and now we are here in Kololo.
So, Honorable, I know I've asked you so many questions,
yes,
but something that bothered me with someone I saw,
yes,
the concern was the tax burden on a Ugandan.
Yes.
It is a concern because inflation has happened on food.
Yes.
They have to pay,
yes,
and yet their income is not increasing.
Yes.
What should a Ugandan do, especially with this 72 trillion budget?
The Uganda Revenue Authority is expected to collect over 31 trillion shillings. And the only tax which has been increased is the taxes on fuel. 100 shillings on a litre of petrol and 100 shillings on a litre of diesel. The rest of other taxes remain the same. And the only unfortunate thing is that our tax base is very narrow. Last night, the Commissioner General of URA says we only have about, 4 million taxpayers, yes, in their database. And majority of which are employees who actually have been bearing the burden of taxes in Uganda. So it's a big challenge for us. What government needs to do is to widen the tax base. Let more Ugandans come into the tax bracket and start paying taxes. And that is a hard one because you need to introduce things like people should start paying taxes on cattle.
Yes.
I had proposed it in the past. The wealthy people who have taken their money into cattle don't want to pay taxes. For us who have decided to put factories, we are paying. So if I put the same amount of money on the farm, rearing pigs, rearing sheep, rearing cattle, I would pay zero tax. So I think we need to be more realistic and we accept to pay taxes. The second one is the one on gold, on minerals.
Yes.
So there are areas, pocket of opportunities where we can make sure that we bring those areas into the tax bracket. Then I think we would be able to shoulder the challenge of tax burden on a very narrow base of the country.
Honorable, you're both an economist but a former banker.
Yes.
Debt. Is our debt sustainable? When we look at our debt burden now and also what we're going to bring on in this financial year, 8.9 trillion shillings domestically, 1.3, yes, external financing, budget support there dropping from, yes, donor. Is our debt sustainable?
The debt won't be sustainable if we continue increasing our budget ceiling and continue borrowing without broadening the tax base, without bringing in the oil revenue. I can predict as night follows the day, it will come crumbling down. Because what we have done now is we are burdening Bank of Uganda. The moment our domestic refinancing matures, we will not have money in the treasury. So Bank of Uganda will literally print money and pay. So we have created a hole with the Bank of Uganda. Creating that hole means Bank of Uganda will have challenges in managing monetary policy and meeting their monetary policy targets of, say, inflation at 5%. So the moment you continue to print money and throw it in the public there, inflation is going to pick up. So it's a big challenge that our debts are increasing, our domestic revenue resources are increasing at a much lower pace than the way the debt is growing. So without quick interventions, like oil money coming through, like broadening a tax base to increase our domestic revenue, we are in big problem.
Honorable, my last question to you is, on the 20th, the president is going to meet the traders here.
Yes.
What advice would you give him, especially that the private sector is shrinking day by day?
I would advise the president that he should keep the increase. Increase we must maintain. It's not a tax. It's a system that causes transparency, and make sure that those who have been hiding the tax, they pay. Secondly, we need to make sure that the interest and penalties that were put on the tax on the private sector are removed completely, so that we only pay the outstanding tax. Then the last one is, can we give them a moratorium? Let's give them the time for which to pay these taxes in a more structured way. Yes, that would be my advice.
Thank you very much, Honorable. I appreciate you. See you when we meet again behind the headlines. You have heard from Honorable Mara, especially the caution on what Ugandans should be doing. I want to be joined here by Honorable Ojara Mapenduzi and the Member of Parliament for People of Laibi Bandege there. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
The signature bow tie, as usual, looking elegant.
Thank you very much, sir.
It's been a minute, but when we look at the budget, you have been in the local, down in Gulu. How are the people responding to this budget in Laibi and also in Gulu?
Well, there is anxiety generally because, as you know, this running financial year, which ends this month in June, the budget projection was 52 trillion, and I'm sure what has been realized is probably less than that. Maybe we will get the figures, but my own estimation is that probably would be about 48 trillion or something like that, meaning we will not be able to realize what we had projected. Now, looking at the coming financial year 2024-25, Parliament approved a budget of 72 trillion. Now you are moving from 52 trillion to 72. So there is anxiety. Ugandans want to hear how this is going to be achieved. But also there is the question of, debt burden. There is so much that the country has to pay in terms of what we have borrowed. Now, when you look at the 72 trillion, about 31 trillion is supposed to go towards servicing the debt. But again, we expected to borrow about 32 trillion. And so when you look at how much we are expected to borrow, remove from the 72 trillion, there is a lot of work in terms of generating the revenue required. So many people are expecting to listen and get the assurance of the president on one, how we are going to continue stabilizing the economy, but also two, how we are going to make sure we manage the debt, manage our borrowing, so we don't continue that trend. But also the other thing is that the taxpayers are a little anxious because, you know, the debate that we have right now. So generally there is anxiety. And so how are we going to make sure the 72 trillion is actually realized? That's something we would want to attentively listen to.
I have been to Gulu, where you were a chairman for a while there. When I look at the infrastructure there, an impeccable job that you did with revolutionizing infrastructure, but also the business is booming because South Sudan is just there. The money put in for infrastructure, is it value for money? Will it be able to get the services closer to the people? What does that mean for infrastructure if you compare it to Gulu there?
Well, there is definitely value for money, and I commend the people who are down there working, you know, in Gulu and elsewhere. Just like I work with the team in Gulu, there is a lot of effort being made, but I think there is need to do much more. There is need to do much more. I think government has given a lot of attention, has really prioritized infrastructural development, and that is good, that is commendable, because that then has direct impact on the taxpayers. But there is need to do much more. There is need to try to trim down some of these wasteful expenditures, manage corruption, and make sure we put more energy on the things that impact directly on the citizens. Yes.
Will the Ugandan out there in Laibi, Bandege, will they be able to feel this budget in their pockets the way they feel the taxes come through to their pockets?
Well, there are definitely different ways of feeling the impact of this budget. One, you are aware that currently government is giving the PDM, which goes to almost $1 trillion, over $1 trillion. Now, this is money that goes to the parishes, goes to the wards, and these are monies that goes to the pockets of the citizens directly, the 1 million, per beneficiary. So that's one way, and that's commendable. The other thing is that there are funds that are disbursed to local governments, whether it's for putting water, whether it's for road, whether it's for health services, whether it's for school. The citizens get the impact that way. There are also roads that are being constructed. So there are many activities that government is implementing, and definitely that is how the citizens benefit. But we can still do much more. We can do better than what is being done. Yeah.
Honorable Mapenduzi, thank you very much. I always appreciate your time. So you have had even his experience all the way from Gulu, and I am now joined by another member of parliament. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Greetings from Busia municipality. I am Macho Geoffrey.
Ndio. So let's get to Busia. When we look at this budget, and I know the business that happens at the border there, I know how the border has really struggled in some of these areas of export. Will the people of your municipality be able to feel 72 trillion shillings impact their lives?
Sure. First of all, I want to tell my people that I think we are beneficiaries of this budget because we are going to benefit from the road network in the Busia municipality. In this budget, we have almost 10 kilometers that has been spotted for us through the ministry. Then, in addition to that, I see a very big component of small and medium enterprises, and which benefits the cross-border traders who are doing small-scale businesses. And at the same time, I see some money concerning value addition because we have been selling the raw crops in Kenya. For this money of value addition, our people are going to make finished products to sell in Kenya. And at the same time, I also appreciate that I see a lot of money put in UDB, which will help our people into big infrastructure to tap the tourism of our people from Kenya. So I believe that this budget is going to benefit our people, and majorly in the area even of post-harvest handling. Because when you go the other side of Kenya, they put up cereals in Busia, Kenya, in Kakamega, in Funyula, and even in Kitale. And I believe that if that is done to this side of Uganda, so that we have silos, we have silos where people can keep the produce, store it for a certain time, and then sell after the bump harvest. It will help our people a lot since we have the biggest produce market in within the East African region.
And when you look at the produce you're talking about, Honorable, especially looking at December where some of your people were crossing to Kenya, goods were cheaper there than they were in Uganda. Is this a concern for you since you're going to be money from the domestic market and the businesses, the private sector, is going to be crowded out of this market?
Sure, you have brought a very good important issue, the domestic market and the borrowing of the money, which is a very big challenge to our business communities on the border now, that Kenyan traders borrow money at low exchange rate and the Ugandans are borrowing at a very high exchange rate. And that's why we have requested the government of Uganda that in this financial year, they should reduce or even stop on domestic borrowing so that Ugandans are left to do domestic borrowing. That will help a lot to reduce on the interest rate. And the president gave a directive to the Minister of Finance, Honorable Kasaija, to work as quick as possible to make sure that the interest rates on loans reduces. But it is taking long. We believe that time is now so that Ugandans who are on the border can also enjoy to have money that is with a very little interest like our Kenyan counterparts. This will help a lot because according to what we see, the people who got money for PDM are flourishing in business, are doing very good business, and I want to appreciate Minister Kololo that yesterday he was in Busia meeting all the beneficiaries, all the groups. You will see people displaying vehicles, you will see people displaying their company work, and material and value addition, and this is the way that we want Uganda to do. The only request that I have is that in this money that was given, Busia as a district, as a border, we need affirmative action because we are not farmers, we are business communities. We should be given more money than to do business than being given more seeds to plant because we don't have enough land to plant, but we have enough market for the produce and the products in Kenya. Therefore, an affirmative action should be given to borders around so that we promote the integration of business within East Africa. And also, I want to tell my people that in this budget, I see Ministry of East African Affairs has been given enough money for sensitization concerning the East African Protocol. We therefore need the Minister of East African Affairs, Mama Rebecca Kadaga, to make sure that the people in Uganda, and majorly the people on borders, are sensitized about the protocols of East Africa and to be told the importance of the East African cooperation. Because we have a bigger market, we are the same people, and when we use this opportunity, we have a lot to do as brothers and sisters within the East African region. And on this matter, I request the government of Uganda to give trade agreements made with Kenya to the people of Busia so that we can make use of the trade agreements. We want to know what are the products that Uganda signed with Kenya to be sold in and out. This will help our people to do business on the border a lot.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. Asante. So you have heard Honorable there talking about especially what should be done for the border. It is a very interesting point of view to be able to look at what is happening there. That the border points should be given more money, not for produce or growing because they do not have farmland, but to be able to deal with trade in Malaba, in Busia there. So those are some of the important points that they would like to be able to see. But we're expecting the president to be able to come around and have this discussion and even more. Okay, so that was the Honorable Minister from Busia Municipality, and very pertinent points there, especially on domestic borrowing and even going further on the borders and what needs to be done. We are eagerly anticipating for His Excellency the President to be able to come here so that we can kick-start this reading of the budget there. Good afternoon, sir. It's good to have you.
Yes, I'm also very good and very glad to be here
for
this day.
Your anticipation for...
My name is Acrobat Chiza Moses, Member of Parliament for Bugendera.
So, Honorable, when you see this budget for your people, does it speak to them?
Yeah, partially. Partially it speaks for them. And we also have issues. Of course, the budget cannot be holistically good. Like in my area, there are some areas which have been handled, which I'm happy for. Like the issue of security has been well handled. You are aware that Vundibujo is at the border with the DR Congo. And when the security is well budgeted for, our peace and stability is always catered for. Like, I am happy that the salaries for the security personnel has been enhanced at least by around 100%, which is okay for everyone. And in the budget, I've also seen some areas of physical infrastructure having been catered for. That implies that areas which are passable, areas which have poor roads are going to be worked upon, and areas which have potholes, I think the potholes will be fixed. But as a Vundibujo, like I said, that the budget cannot favor everyone. We have a section of people who are not happy. Like,
why are they not happy?
We are not happy because I've read the budget even during the passing of the budget at Parliament. I didn't get happy when I saw that our cocoa factory, Vundibujo, is known for growing cocoa, and it is leading the whole country for producing cocoa. But we have been yearning for a cocoa factory. Even when His Excellency the President pledged that we should have a factory for value addition.
Thank you. Thank you.
But we have not seen it being put in the budget.
Thank you, Honorable. Honorable, thank you very much. Let's get back because we have some guests coming through. We have some dignitaries and diplomats coming through, and we really appreciate that they're coming through. These are development partners right on my left-hand side that are coming through, but also some more dignitaries joining us here, and we'll be able to discuss this. You've heard what is coming from Bundibujo. We're trying to cover every corner. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good, good.
Your names, please.
Opoloti Siagi, Patrick. Yes. MP Kachumbala County, Bukedia District.
Yes. Honorable, your people in Bukedia, when you represented them and appropriated this budget, does it represent them?
Seriously, it does.
Which parts represent them?
Health, education, works, road works, and others.
Honorable Polot, when you look at our debt in this country, doesn't it concern you especially because they have to dig deeper into Ugandans' pockets to pay it?
Of course, you get debt because you need it. And what matters is, what do you do with it? Do you invest it to earn you, or you misuse it by going to hold a family? You go and pick money in debt to do business. That's okay, and business is well controlled, and you make money and you pay back. But if you used it for a party, for a wedding, then you get into trouble. So what we expect is money for that should be well utilized and well invested into projects that will make returns, and with the projects with the highest rate of return. That is all.
Thank you very much, Honorable. We appreciate you. So we've had from all the corners of the country so far. Bundibujo has been covered, Busia has been covered. We're coming from Bukedia there, listening to the people of Bukedia and what their concerns are. He says the budget covers his people and they're very satisfied with where the budget is going. Is that the same way you feel as an ordinary Ugandan, especially when you look at this budget, the taxes that have been slapped on fuel, especially that all goods and services move on fuel, either it's petrol or diesel. And you also have to see that petrol has been increased by 100 shillings, that makes it 1,400. Honorable, it's good to have you. How are you?
I'm good, how are you too?
Honorable, a good afternoon to you. You look very smart. Please tell us your names and the people you represent.
My name is Gerard Nangoli. I represent the people of Elogo North in Bulambuli district.
So in Bulambuli, and you look at this budget that you apportioned, that you represented them, does it serve their needs?
The budget is very good. It's going to serve and it's going to address the needs of the Wananchi, the local population down there, because one of them is the infrastructure, upgrading LSS centers, improving educational facilities. So it's going to address the Wananchi so that they are able to move and take their goods to the market.
And when you look at PDM, how has PDM performed in your area?
PDM, of course, it is to do with mindset change. It has helped people, but you know, normally, when the program is new, it is a process. People with time will cope up with it. It has challenges, its own challenges, but I want to assure it has helped because there are people who have never held $1 million, but they are now able to get $1 million and buy a cow. So it is helping people, but as a matter of fact, it is a gradual process. It will be a process for them to adjust accordingly. But since it is a program that is longer term, with the time it will improve and people will change.
How has the performance been of PDM in your constituency? And also when you look at Youth Livelihood Fund, Bonaba Gagawale, what is different from them and PDM?
You see, when you are working with the government, we are like children. When you're a father in the home, even if your kid makes a mistake or a problem, it doesn't mean that you give up. Of course, Youth Livelihood came with its own challenges, Bonaba Gagawale with its own challenges. PDM has also come with its own challenges, but we can't say that we shall not help our people because they failed. No, that's not the case. As government, we must know how to build the babies, how to make them grow.
Thank you, Honorable. Very much. So you have heard from the East there, the Elgon, and it tells you PDM has its challenges, but also the people, and some of them have benefited from that. But the biggest question is, as we come closer to 2027, what happens? I have been longly anticipating to see you, Honorable Ogwang. How are you?
I'm okay, how are you?
The biggest question is your prayers have been answered. Nambole has had 2 games in it. Hoima Stadium contract signed. You seem like you're the biggest minister that is achieving right now. Congratulations.
No, I'm not the biggest minister. I want to thank His Excellency the President and the First Lady. The President is the one guiding us on how to proceed. The First Lady, who is my boss, is the one directly following up with me on how we should complete on some of those projects. And of course, the government is putting in a lot of money under the directive of the president. So, as far as AFCON 2027 is concerned, I want to say we are on course in fulfilling our obligations in line with the government commitment which we gave to the Confederation of African Football. Mine is to call upon Ugandans to believe in the leadership of His Excellency the President and my senior minister, who is the Minister of Education and Sports, in terms of guiding on how AFCON 2027 is going to be organized together, Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. I'm happy that Nambole, finally, it was also a demand from most of the Ugandans that they wanted us to be back home. Fortunately, I thank the Senior Minister of Education and Sports, the First Lady, who came and witnessed as our chief guest the match between Uganda and Algeria. Of course, we were disappointed that we lost the game, but nevertheless, that's football, and that's how sports is.
Honorable, don't feel very bad. Botswana, very good performance. Algeria, very good performance. 1 goal scored. But how do we benefit? Minus the stadiums that we're getting, how does Uganda benefit in tourism? The other sectors, how do they benefit from AFCON come 2027?
There's a lot of benefits which are coming to the country come 2027. It's not only 2027. Already as I speak, we have started to come, the officials from CAF already, they keep on coming in the country and they are looking at other areas. For instance, let me talk about hotels. They are already beginning to look at the specific hotels the CAF people will be staying in. But also, they are going to be here almost every 2-3 months to continue guiding us on how we must organize that elite tournament of AFCON 2027. Of course, when we talk about tourism, we will be receiving a big number of tourists and guests, both fans who are coming to watch the game here, and that brings in money into the economy. And even before that, even our airline, let's talk about Uganda Airlines, will be bringing most of our people connecting from different directions or destinations which our airline goes through. So that also brings in more money into the country. First, then the other one is the infrastructure. This AFCON is going to help us develop additional sports infrastructure, which will help us to host other international competitions, because as government, our senior minister guided us that we must have multi-sport in these respective stadiums which we are going to build. So I want to say this. For instance, Nambole, if the running track is completed, the work started today, we will be able, already African Athletics Federation wants to give us African championship, youth championship here in Nambole. It's about us finishing up the facility. We'll invite them to inspect. Once it is ready and found fit, we will. Rugby, talk about African Cup of Nations. We're already going to host it in July, August, here in Nambole. So this is what the sports subsector can be able to contribute to the national coffers. And by the way, if you take a case study of Nambole, we as government got money through taxes, direct. Talk about other amenities specifically, talk about other drinks, talk about soft drinks. There are taxes which are embedded in that. That money already was collected by government. Number 3, the entertainment itself also. So the young people, and I'm happy that the government and president and my able minister, we are doing what we can to tap into the sports tourism. And I can bet you we are going to do more and more as we move on.
My last question to you, Honorable. Shall we be able to see the next JJ Okocha, the next George Weah from the Uganda Cranes, from the teams that are here in the league? Is that a possibility, especially with 2027?
The team is under transition, that I want to say is confident. Number 2, we have young people who have got opportunities now to go and play football in different parts of Europe. That one I'm aware. And I've also quite a big number of Ugandans who are in diaspora who are already calling on me to move with the Federation of Football Session. They want to showcase the talent of their children outside there. And that will be able to get us a good team. The Federation, I have guided them, they must begin to prepare a team for AFCON 2027 now. With the facilities coming in, my view is we will be able to do even better than the names you've given. I promise you on that.
Thank you very much, Honorable, and thank you for and getting all that. So you have heard what Honorable Obua has done there, especially when we look at, when he has talked about AFCON, Hoima Stadium will be coming up there. We also see Nambole, and he talks about the funding. I'm also joined by another Honorable. You're very welcome. Good afternoon, Madam.
Thank you.
How are you and your name and the people you represent?
Nyachikongo Rosemary, woman member of parliament, Shema district.
Ah, Abashema.
Yes.
I have seen a lot of agriculture on that road, Shema, Bushenyi, all the way as you go there. Does this budget speak to value addition of the matoke on that road?
Yeah, this budget actually speaks to it, because when you look into the budget, we have this PPP project that has been in Bushenyi, which is going to add value to our matoke. This year they put in some money which they want, and they think that it is going to transform the entire region in terms of value addition of the matoke. You know, the entire of Bushenyi and Greater Ankole generally, we are a banana growing area. So putting some money budget to add value, it is going to help our people, first of all, to raise the price for matoke in the area. But also, we've been also lobbying for increment, especially on issues regarding to coffee value. You know, we are also a coffee growing area, and people want to grow a lot of coffee, because now when you look at the kilo of coffee in the area, people are happy about it. So we want to encourage our people, but also they cannot do it without the hand of government in terms of quality, producing quality coffee, in terms of handling, in terms of, you know, production, and then we get into value addition. So all these, at the budget, it is a little bit balancing, especially in terms of coffee and also our matoke. But also, we've seen a lot of emphasis is put on the road network, because if you produce without better quality roads, how are you going to transport all those things that we are talking about? How are traders going to get down to Shema in those rural areas of ours without quality roads? So for me, when the government says they are going to improve the road network, I think we should celebrate it and embrace it. But also, you know, a lot of money is going into PDM.
Before we get there, Honorable, yes, you have spoken about road network in infrastructure. You have also spoken about value addition, but it has been hot. That whole corridor has seen climate change affect it. Water is the biggest need for bananas, for coffee. What are you doing? Does this budget speak to climate change mitigation?
Yeah, Minister of Agriculture brought in the issue of climate smart agriculture, where we believe that they are going to add water for production. But also in the Ministry of Water itself, they have that program of water for production. So for us, we believe that if this budget is implemented very well and is done according to the programs that they've put in place, we are going to overcome this process of, you know, producing only during the rainy season. In Uganda, we are blessed. We have water that runs throughout. The rivers are there. We can save even this running water that goes away and dries up. Why don't we utilize that using the money that we've put in the budget, especially production, such that we don't cry about drying up of crops, such that we continue producing throughout the year.
Thank you very much, Honorable. We really appreciate your time. Kanda bantu ba Bushenyi, send them agri. Shema.
Shema was carved out of Bushenyi. Yes. Now, so people should not keep on saying we are from Bushenyi. Shema is an independent district and one of the districts that grows a lot of coffee and bananas.
Abantu ba Shema baturamtsize. So you have heard from Shema there. The biggest need there is water, especially for their bananas and their coffee. Value addition, especially that now they have PBIT there. They're wondering if a factory can be gotten in that area, especially to boost the economy of each district. But also, even as we turn around to be able to see what is happening inside here, you'll be able to meet different people, especially that we're getting filled with the number of people that are with us. Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you.
It's good to have you.
Thanks so much.
Honorable, your name and the people you represent.
I'm called Modoi Isaac. I'm a member of parliament representing the people of Lutseshe. Lutseshe is in Bududa, in Mbale.
Yes.
Yes.
Honorable, does this budget speak to the people of Bududa?
No, I think so, because we are looking at now value addition. We are looking at infrastructure. We're also looking at the issues of improving of the health and so on. So to us, I think this budget is very critical. The issue is to make sure that whatever we budget for goes to change the lives and the welfare of our people. So we are anxious because the issue is, the figures are there, but the question is the implementation. So that money can trickle down. For information, the issue of parish development model.
Before we get there, Honorable, also the biggest problems have been landslides.
Yes.
Weather.
Yes.
Your people have been moved to Chiriandongo.
Some have been moved.
Yes, and the mountain slopes are becoming dangerous for them to live in, yet their livelihood is there. Yes. Does this budget respond to such challenges?
It does. For example, in the Prime Minister's office now we have put there some funds. And our question that the funds are there, But the question is to implement. The implementation should be the question now. I think since we are involved this time round, I can assure people of Lutseshe that we have gone through the details of the budget, and I believe is implemented later, our people will be settled. So
and when you look at agriculture, market access, how does Bududa, for all its products and produce that it has there, market access is one of the biggest challenges. How do you access a market from there?
No, the problem of Bududa, we are food basket of this country. The challenge has been purely three things. One, the infrastructure. The road network is so bad. And since you have mentioned the landslide has affected production of our people, marketing is one of them, accessing even the medical services. The second question is the finishing the product. We grow coffee, but we literally sell coffee in its raw form. So we feel that if we can embrace the processing of the coffee into the final product, why not? We shall reap more. And that's what we are now focusing on. I'm happy in this budget, the processing part of it has been taken care of.
Honorable, my last question to you. Your young people are leaving, especially at the end of the year, are leaving to move to Tanzania because there are opportunities there. Aren't you losing labor, especially for people moving across the border?
Ordinarily, moving to serve, to give labor elsewhere is not a bad deal. But I think we must grapple now with the issue of employment. We should improve sectors. Agriculture is a huge sector, by the way. If we can plan well the sector of agriculture to absorb, and I'm happy the president has put what you call skilling hubs. So this will help most of our people. But to me, I believe even the labor export, if it's well organized, why not? I think it's a good idea.
Honorable, the people out there are really concerned with the taxes. They are wondering and they're anxious. The people in Bududa are wondering, did you represent them well? What confidence would you give them in this budget?
In this budget, what I can tell my people of Bududa is one. I think we need to address the big disease of this country is the drainage in form of leakages, misuse of funds. I think that's one. Two, if we give people services, good roads, we have Bududa Circular Road, Bududa Buchigai Road, we have been crying about that road. So if people see the services, I think payment of taxes will be easier to be done. Because the question right now is that if they see good health services, education services, good roads, I believe payment of taxes will not be a big deal. But the question you pay, and then the question is, where is the money going? So now I think that we have to go back and address the issue of service delivery. The service delivery, we as leaders must converge and see how best our people can get services, and they pay taxes, willing that's a form of accountability.
Thank you very much, Honorable. I appreciate you. So you have heard from the area of Bududa there, and they're also telling you landslides, coffee, and most, if you listen to the Arabica coffee, especially the sweetest part of the coffee, it comes from the Elgon part there. And he has said, you know what, we need value addition. We're selling coffee in its raw form. How can we get a factory there? How can we improve the livelihoods there? But also he has said a little bit more money has been added to the ministry, the Prime Minister's office, to be able to increase on the disaster preparedness there, and what more can be done to get buy-in from these people to do something about their livelihoods as they go on there. So that's where we are here in Kololo, and we're still waiting for the president to be able to start off this function, to be able to read and declare this budget of 72 trillion. As I have told you earlier, the biggest portion of this budget is going to debt, which is about 34 trillion, and only 32 trillion is going to be collected by URA. And when you look further, our capitalization of Bank of Uganda is 7.8 trillion, which is clearing the debt that Bank of Uganda has done. But the greatest concern is the reserves that we have in Bank of Uganda, which can only cover us for 3 months, 3.5 months there. And the biggest question is, what can happen to us as a country, especially that we have high imports going forward, high imports and less exports in raw form. We look at that. You can also see in the background the tent here is getting filled up by the people to be able to start off this function. In the background you can hear refreshment, different directions being given to the people here. But also when we go further to look at human capital and look at the numbers that have sat UPE or UCE, the capitalization grant that is supposed to be 20,000 for each student, does that make value sense there? 8.8 million young people in primary school what does that mean for us going forward? And that's very important to look at education, to look at health. Can we all access health and this going forward? But from us to you in Kololo, we hand you back to the band, and then we'll be getting back to you to give you an update when the president arrives here.
Parliament shall convene and will start with the anthems, the Uganda anthem, followed by the East African anthem, parliamentary prayers, the proclamation by the Right Honourable Speaker that declares these grounds as the precincts of Parliament for today, a communication from the Chair, the presentation of the budget speech, the speech that we are all looking forward to hearing, the speech that has gathered us here today. And this will be a speech by His Excellency, the President of Uganda, with a delegated responsibility to the Minister for Finance. Thereafter, we shall have remarks by His Excellency, the President, and will adjourn, starting with anthems in reverse order. And thereafter, we shall also have departures in reverse order. So I kindly ask that you take up your seats. Please take up your seats. And we await the arrival of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda. I'm also happy to inform you that we have got several cultural leaders who are here, including the Iseba Ruli, the King of the Buruli Kingdom, and a high-power team from there. We also have, amongst others, the Director General of the Security Organization, Ambassador Joseph Ochwet. You'll forgive me if I don't mention each and every one of the guests that are here, but just to recognize that all the categories are very well represented here, and we are honored and really happy to have you in our midst today. Ugandans are looking forward or waiting for the presentation of the budget, and earlier we witnessed with our own eyes the arrival of the Minister for Finance carrying the famed briefcase. The Minister has already taken his seat in the dais and is now waiting for the procession of the Speaker that will be led by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda. So as we await the arrival of His Excellency, the President, we kindly ask that you take up your seats. We'll ask all our guests in the reception tents to please make your way back to the main tents. Thank you very much. Once again, to the police and the prisons band. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Police Prisons Band. To all our distinguished guests, I'm sure many of you will have noted the movements that are currently taking place. The team, the procession is starting to form now. We have the Right Honorable Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, the Clerk to Parliament, and service chiefs that are now lining up at the edge of the red carpet in preparation of the arrival of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda. There's the team that is waiting to receive His Excellency, the President, is a very good indication that any minute now we shall be joined by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, who shall be coming to complete his constitutional duty in presenting a budget speech to Parliament. At this juncture, allow me to ask all our guests, all our invited guests, all our members of Parliament to please take your seats. Could I also ask that you occupy the free seats please occupy the free seats in front of you, to allow for latecomers to sit at the back. To all our guests that are still in the reception, all our guests in the reception tent, please make your way to the main tent. His Excellency, the President, is just about to arrive. I'm sure many of you can see all the indicators, all the signs now, especially that we have the first sweeper that has made its way onto the grounds here at Kololo Ceremonial grounds. This is an indication that in a minute now we shall witness the arrival of His Excellency, President of the Republic of Uganda. Once His Excellency, the President, arrives, he shall proceed to walk through the street guard that is mounted by officers and men of the Uganda Police Force. His Excellency, the President, has got one main duty today, and that is the presentation of the budget for the year 2024-2025. This presentation is likely to be made by the Minister for Finance, the Honorable Matia Kasaija, who is already seated in the main tent and is already in possession of the famed briefcase. This briefcase contains the estimates, the approved figures for the financial year 2024-2025. Once again, to all our guests that are seated in the reception areas, if you're seated in the reception or refreshment tents, please make your way over to the main tents so that we can have an orderly start to this parliamentary session. This parliamentary session, this is the second parliamentary sitting that we have of this, what we call the first meeting, which is like the first term of a parliamentary year. Last week, we officially opened Parliament for the fourth session, which is the fourth year of Parliament. And we convened here at Kololo to receive an address from His Excellency the President on the state of the nation. And amongst the things that he mentioned was about the key priorities that he hopes to achieve or implement during the financial year 2024-2025. So our gathering today is now to actually put figures that will now facilitate the priorities that His Excellency had mentioned in his address last week. So once His Excellency comes through, we expect that he shall go through the street guard, be received by the receiving party, and then the Speaker's procession shall form, and we shall allow for His Excellency to sign the visitor's book before we can continue with the procession. Once Parliament forms, we are going to have the national anthem and the East African anthem. Today we shall have only one stanza of the Uganda anthem, one stanza of the East from the chair, and then the presentation of the budget speech by His Excellency the President. I'm sure you can all see now that there is every indication that His Excellency the President is joining us. His motorcade has just entered the grounds, the Kololo ceremonial grounds, that for purposes of today are the precincts of Parliament. So His Excellency is on the grounds of Parliament today. The team that is to receive him is on hand waiting, and shortly His Excellency shall be received by the police with a respect of a street guard. So once again, I kindly ask that you take up your seats. All our guests or members of Parliament, please take up your seats. If you could kindly occupy the seats to the front so that we shall limit visible movement. His Excellency the President is just about to step out of his official limousine and walk through the street guard before he is received by the receiving party, comprising the Right Honourable Speaker, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, the Clerk to Parliament, and senior officials, as well as the service chiefs. The bugles that you heard are from the Uganda Police Force, and that is in recognition of the arrival of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, that is now making his way down through the street guard and coming to the edge of the red carpet, where he shall be received by the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament and her entourage. His Excellency the President official visitor's book. So His Excellency and the First Lady accompanied by the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, the Clerk to Parliament, the senior officials, and are making their way to the presidential tent, where the team shall then return and form the procession of Parliament, the procession of the Speaker. Just a reminder that today we are going to witness the second sitting of the first meeting of the fourth session of this 11th Parliament of the Republic of Uganda. Today, Thursday, the 13th of June, 2024, of the 2024-2025 budget speech to Parliament by His Excellency in a role that he will delegate to the Minister for Finance. We invite the media to kindly step back now to allow for everybody to have a clear view the three arms of government coming together once again of the presentation Thank you very much.
Prayers.
Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society, government of humanity, we beseech you, look upon with your abundant favor. You have been pleased to call to the performance of such important trusts in this life. Let your blessing upon him grant that they may presence treat all matters that shall come in just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests you have committed to the charge. Amen. Amen.
Proclamation by the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament of Uganda. (2024) number 24, proclamation Parliament address on the nation on the 2024-25. Whereas under Article 1012 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda may, in consultation with the Speaker, address Parliament from time to time on a matter of national importance. Aware that His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda, in accordance with the Article 1012, indicated to the Speaker of Parliament his intention to address Parliament and the nation on the national budget for financial year 2024-2025. Now, therefore, in accordance with the Rule 17.1 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament, hereby proclaim: 1. That Parliament shall sit at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds on Thursday, 13th June 2024 at 14 hours to receive the address of His Excellency the President on the national budget for financial year 2024-2025, and the Kololo Ceremonial Grounds to be the precincts of Parliament for the above-mentioned purpose. Given under my hand at Parliament House, Kampala, this 7th day of May 2024. Anita Annette Amon, Speaker of Parliament. Communication from the Chair.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, accompanied by the First Lady, Mama Janet Kataha Museveni, who also doubles to be the Minister of Education and Sports, Her Excellency, the Vice President, Major Retired Alupo Jessica Eper, His Lordship, the Honorable Chief Justice, Chigamoy Alphonse Owinidolo, the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker of Parliament of Uganda,
Right Honorable Thomas Tayebwa, the Deputy Chief Justice, His Lordship Richard Butera, Right Honorable Prime Minister Robin Anabanja and her deputies, the Honorable Leader of Opposition in Parliament, Honorable Senyonyi Joel, the Cabinet Ministers and Ministers of State, the Vice Chairperson of NRM, Alhaji Chigongo, plus all the SEC members, Your Excellencies, the High Commissioners, Ambassadors, and members of the Diplomatic Corps, Honorable Members of Parliament of Uganda and East African Legislative Assembly, the Inspector General of Government, Ms. Betty Olive Kamia Namisango, the guest speakers from our countries, from Yala, the Head of Public Service and Secretary to Cabinet, the traditional, cultural, and religious leaders that are present, the former leaders, the head of public agencies, corporations, and parastatals, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to the second sitting of the fourth session of 11th Parliament. You're most welcome. As you may recall, last week on June 6, 2024, we had the honor of hosting His Excellency the President at the stage of the opening of the fourth session of the 11th Parliament. This significant event, His Excellency delivered a compelling address on the state of nation. Let us join our hands and clap for His Excellency for the address that he gave us on that day, and that was for the good of our country, Uganda. Today we are once again immensely privileged and highly gratified to host His Excellency the President, who is here to deliver the budget speech for the financial year 2024-2025 in fulfillment of his constitutional obligation under Article 155(1) of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, which states, "The President shall cause to be prepared and laid before Parliament in each financial year, but in any case not later than 15th day before the commencement of the financial year, the estimates and expenditure of government for the next financial year." Honorable members, today's budget speech is a culmination of a rigorous and comprehensive consultative process, which usually spans from a period of August to May in any given financial year. This process involves the various stakeholders and majorly guided by the 1995 Constitution of Uganda, the Public Finance Management Act 2015, the National Audit Act 2008, and the Local Government Act 1997. Your Excellency, the Parliament of Uganda has appropriately adopted its rules of procedure in Part 24 to preserve and foster participation and consultation during the entire budget process. This part of the rule of procedure comprises of 11 rules covering aspects such as the National Budget Framework Paper, the Ministerial Policy Statements, supplementary budgets, and appropriation. By so doing, Parliament is able to gather a wide range of perspectives, views, and opinions in shaping and informing the consideration of the national budget. In all this, legislature is guided by the principle that the national budget should reflect the shared values and priorities of our beloved nation and its people. Your Excellency, allow me briefly underscore some key milestones achieved by legislature during the budget consideration process. Pursuant to Section 9, 5, and 8 of the Public Finance Management Act and Rule 145 of the Rules of Procedure, the House approved the National Budget Framework Paper 2024-2025, 2028-2029 on 31st January 2023. Pursuant to Section 12 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 and Rule 149 of the Rules of Procedure, Parliament approved the Ministerial Policy Statements for the financial year 2024-2025 during the period of 4th to 12th April 2024. Pursuant to Section 8 of the Public Finance Management Act and Rule 150 of the Rules of Procedure, Parliament passed 5 tax and revenue bills on 16th to 16th May 2024 to enable the realization of revenues to finance the national budget for the financial year 2024-2025. In furtherance to Section 14 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 and Rule 151-152 of the Rules of Procedure, Parliament approved the national budget for financial year 2024-2025 on 16th day of May 2024. And that's why we are here today. Your Excellency, we want to take this opportunity to commend the members for their dedication through the budget process in ensuring that we not only met the legal and constitutional timelines, but also adequately interrogated the budget together with the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, the Attorney General, and the entire front bench. We want to thank you so much. I specifically want to single out the Minister of State for Finance and Planning and Economic Development in charge of general duties, Honorable Museveni Henry, for devoting time and effort to the relevant committees and the House throughout the budget process. Henry, thank you so much. I also want to commend the Permanent Secretary and Secretary to Treasury for his technical support to the Minister and the continuous legal guidance from the Attorney General. I want to thank you so much. Without preempting the President's speech on the budget, I would like to highlight very salient issues that arose during the budget consideration process. One, the need for continuous resource allocation to agricultural mechanization, agro-industrialization, and value addition as a bedrock to wealth creation and a sustainable development. Two, the need to increase funding to the development of the tourist sector to optimally harness Uganda's tourist potential. 3, the need to align resource allocation with the prevailing government policy on rationalization, that is RAPEX, which should translate into enhanced efficiency and elimination of duplication and wasteful expenditure. 4, the need for resource efficiency measures to address the risk of the debt burden. 5, the need to increase the public investment in productive growth areas and deepen financial inclusion, and 8, the growth of taxable formal sector so as to widen our tax base and improve on the GDP ratio. 6, Your Excellency, considering your consistent advocacy for integration of East African community, Parliament is cognizant of the need for strengthening and cascading the East African integration so as to ease the movement of people, goods, and services. Your Excellency, we share your passion and commitment towards the realization of the total federation of the East African community. Parliament pledges absolute support towards the realization of your vision for a united and a viable East African community so as to widen, strengthen, tighten, and deepen the economic, political, social, and cultural integration. And this would help us in improving the production, the trade, and investment in East Africa. The need to enhance the human capital development as a way of leveraging the competitiveness of the Ugandan population. Your Excellency, this budget that we are receiving today is a product of complementary working relationship between the 3 arms of government: the executive, legislature, and judiciary. This has led to improved transparency in budgeting process. We pledge to continue this cooperation in the best interest of our beloved country. Your Excellency and honorable members, today's budget speech is therefore an opportunity to demonstrate our commitment to prioritize the needs of our people and make sure that we achieve the vision of His Excellency on prosperity of a money economy, and that is through EMIOGA, the parish development model, the 4-acre prosperity development model, etc. Your Excellency and honorable members, as we embark on the financial year 2024-2025, I urge the accounting officers as entrusted stewards of public resources to exercise diligence and due of care in safeguarding and ensuring the efficiency and effective utilization of public resources. Your Excellency, previously we have urged accounting officers to share with the leadership of legislature any instances of influence peddling. However, we haven't received any of such information. We urge the accounting officers to maintain open channels of communication and coordination with the leadership for transparency and accountability. Honorable members, in the discharge of our oversight and appropriation roles, let us avoid any inducement from these accounting officers. And this is prescribed in Appendix F of our Rules of Procedure, which talks about the conduct of members while on duty. Your Excellency, in the financial year 2024-2025, Parliament will duly exercise its oversight role of public expenditure through relevant committees in fulfillment of our commitment to transparency and accountability. Lastly, but not least, Your Excellency would like to thank you so much for according us an opportunity, especially for members who went and visited Gomba, Sembabule, and Kisosi on the 4-acre development model for prosperity, and this visit was an eye-opener for a practical transformation of the household economy. Your Excellency, your continuous inspiration and transformation approach to development and creating awareness to the populace that has led the people to follow your guidelines of transforming people from grass-thatched houses to the mabati. It is written in Lunyankole. I may not be able to mention how your book is written, but we know what is written in it, and we have really used it and tried to transform our communities. Your Excellency, I kindly request you to consider inviting the other members of Parliament who have not been there to see what has been done there, so that they can come back and preach the same gospel to their constituents. As we go for recess, we will be very available, and we request that maybe you invite the members of Parliament to go and visit that development 4-acre model. I now want to, as I conclude, I want to wish all our Muslim brothers and sisters a happy Eid Adha 2024. May Allah fulfill all your wishes as you've been praying. I say all this for God and my country.
Presentation of the budget speech by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda.
Honorable members, I have been duly notified that the Minister of Planning and Economic Development will deliver the speech on behalf of His Excellency the President, who is the Chief Minister of Finance. The President will then, after delivery of the speech, make his brief remarks on the budget of this financial year. I now take this opportunity to invite Honorable Kasaija, the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, to deliver the speech on behalf of the President. Most welcome.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Your Excellency Mama, the First Lady, the Honorable Vice President, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Your Lordship, the Chief Justice, the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Your Lordship, the Deputy Chief Justice, the Vice Chairperson of the NRM Party, the Honorable Prime Minister, the Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Ministers, Honorable Members of Parliament, Your Excellencies, the Ambassadors and High and Heads of Diplomatic Missions, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. All protocol observed. Madam Speaker, in fulfillment of Article 150, Part 1 of the Constitution, and on behalf of His Excellency the President, I rise to present to Parliament and to the nation at large the budget for financial year 2024-2025 as approved by Parliament. Madam Speaker, I want to start by thanking His Excellency the President for once again demonstrating a vote of confidence in me by extending my mandate as the Minister responsible for Finance, Planning, Economic Development, together with my entire political team at the Ministry. Madam Speaker, I congratulate the President for successfully hosting the 19th Summit of the Non-Aligned Movement and the 3rd South Summit of the G7 plus China, and assuming the chairmanship of both in January 2024. Now what are you doing? You're going to put it straight on my mouth? Come on, put it there, a little bit there. Madam Speaker, according to the 2024 annual investment meeting held in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, Uganda is now the best investment destination in Africa. Let me repeat this. Madam Speaker, I congratulate His Excellency the President for successfully hosting According to the 2022-24 annual investment meeting held in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, Uganda is now the best investment destination in Africa. Madam Speaker, His Excellency the President declared the 2021-2026 political term Ekisanja for socio-economic transformation. He guided that government and the entire country should focus on creating jobs, wealth, and increasing household incomes. The budget for financial 2024-25 is the fifth and therefore the last to implement the third National Development Plan. It will also set the foundation for implementing the government's strategy for expanding in the size of our GDP from about $50 billion in financial year 22-23 to $500 billion by the year 2040. In order to consolidate the gains so far achieved, the theme for the coming financial year has been maintained as full monetization of the Uganda's economy through commercial agriculture, industrialization, expanding and broadening services, digital transformation, and market access. Madam Speaker, in this speech, I will, 1, account to Parliament and the people of Uganda for the commitments that the government made for the financial year 2023-2024 that is coming to an end in a few days. 2, provide an outlook for the medium-term economic performance. 3, the medium-term priorities and strategies for growing the economy tenfold, starting with financial year 24-25, and 4, present the financing strategy for the financial year 2024-25 budget. Recent economic performance. Madam Speaker, I'm pleased to report that Uganda's economy has fully recovered from various internal and external shocks that impacted performance in the past 4 years. GDP is projected to grow by 6% this financial year 23-24, compared to 5.3% in financial year 22-23. This year's growth of 6% is even more impressive when compared to Sub-Saharan Africa's average of 3.8% and the global average of 2.9% projected for the year 2024. As a result of this robust growth, the size of the economy is now estimated at shillings 202 trillion, equivalent to $53.3 billion, up from shillings 184.3 trillion or $48.8 billion in nominal terms. If Ugandans agreed to share this GDP equally, each citizen would enjoy a GDP per capita of $1,146 compared to $1,081 registered last financial year 22-23. Madam Speaker, the improved performance of the economy is on account of higher growth in all sectors. Services, agriculture, industry are estimated to grow at 6.6%, 5.1%, and 5.8% respectively in financial year 23-24. In particular, growth in the services sector has been impressive, mainly driven by strong recovery in retail and wholesale trade, tourism, as well as communication and real estate activities. Growth in the industry was mainly driven by manufacturing, construction, and mining, while increased production of food and cash crops as well as livestock supported growth in the agricultural sector. Agriculture's performance estimated to have expanded at 5.1% this year compared to 4.5% registered in financial 22-23, is attributed to the streamlined implementation of the parish development model and fairly good weather conditions. Other factors which supported strong economic growth include: 1, low inflation and relatively stable exchange rate, which have allowed good investment planning and supported export competitiveness. 2, increased investments in the oil and the gas sector related projects supported by the foreign direct investment. 3, higher external demand for Uganda's products, including agricultural and industrial products. 4, recovery of tourism supported by increased investment in tourism infrastructure and marketing. And 5, peace and security for persons and their property. I repeat this: peace and security for persons and their property. Madam Speaker, in March 2024, Uganda met the requirements to graduate from the category of least developed countries. Sorry, let me repeat. Madam Speaker, in March 2024, Uganda met the requirements to graduate from the category of least developed countries. Uganda also moved from the category of low human development to medium human development. This is the result of a consistent improvement in health, education, economy, and a decent standard of living. This is a big milestone achieved well before the country starts earning from oil exports. When oil and gas started to flow in the year 25-26, with the deliberate value addition to our raw materials and productive utilization of PDM and other wealth creation initiatives, attaining of prosperity for all and socio-economic will be faster. Madam Speaker, Uganda has contained inflation at an average rate of 3.2% in the 12 months to May 2024. Uganda's inflation is one of the lowest in the region. Annual headline inflation has reduced from the peak of 10.7% in October 2022 to 3.6% last month. The reduction has been a result of good coordination and of monetary and fiscal policies, leading to low inflation for most food crops, manufactured foods, and essential commodities like laundry, bar soap, sugar, and cooking oil. Interest rates. Madam Speaker, the commercial bank lending interest rates for shilling-denominated credit reduced to 17.7% in April 2024, compared to 19.3% in April 2023. Interest rates in the domestic debt market have remained broadly stable, averaging 11.2% on the one-year government treasury bills. To further reduce lending rates, government will continue to provide long-term affordable capital through various interventions. In particular, government will continue to capitalize the Uganda Development Bank, the Parish Development Model, the Agricultural Credit Facility, and the Small Business Recovery Fund to provide capital for wealth creation. Government is also continuing with the capitalization of the Emyoga Fund to support micro enterprises, as well as the presidential skilling and industrial hubs for the youth. Grants will also be extended to women in business through the Generating Growth Opportunity and Productivity for Women Enterprise, which we abbreviate as GROW project. For exporters of manufactured products who face working capital challenges, the investment for industrial transformation and employment, which we call INVITE, that fund, worth of US $210 million, which is shillings 800 billion, is going to kick off next financial year. Private sector credit. Madam Speaker, private sector credit increased to shillings 21.54 trillion in April 2024 from shillings 20.47 trillion in April 2023, an increase of 5.2%. There has also been a slight increase in the share of credit going to productive areas of the economy. For example, the share of credit going to agriculture increased slightly to 11.3% by April 2024 compared to 11.1% by April 2023, while the share of credit to manufacturing remained the same at 13.4%. Exchange rate. Madam Speaker, despite the depreciation pressure on the shilling since the beginning of this year, the value of our currency has remained largely stable against key global currencies. Between May 2023 and May 2024, the official exchange rate against the US dollar has averaged shilling 3,771. The depreciation pressure on the account of exit of some of the offshore investors searching for more attractive interest rates offered on government papers in competing markets has been contained thanks for our good export performance and foreign direct investment inflows. External trade. Madam Speaker, government's export promotion strategy has continued to produce positive results. During the year ending April 2024, Uganda's exports increased by US dollars 2.534 billion to US dollars 7.71 billion compared to US dollars 4.938 billion in April 2023, representing a 34% growth. This increase was largely driven by increased exports of gold, 75.7%, coffee, 21.9%, oil re-exports, 21.8%, simsim, 20.2%, tobacco, 10.3%, cotton, 6.9%, and light manufactured products, 4.9%. The major destination of our exports are the East African Community countries, which account for 29%. Then we go to COMESA, 29%. Then we go to Middle East, 24%, and to Asia, for 20%. Madam Speaker, efforts to increase the value addition to exports have continued to yield positive results. Exports of manufactured products have continued to be significant contributors of export earnings. In particular, in year 2023, cement exports reached US dollars 91.1 million, sugar US dollars 75.8 million, plastic products US dollars 62.6 million, soap US dollars 33.9 million, beer US dollars 25.8 million. This financial year 23-24, efforts to increase export performance have been strengthened through investing in targeted value addition initiatives and implementing several enabling trade policies. Madam Speaker, in the financial year ending, Uganda imported goods worth 12.9 US dollars billion compared to US dollars 10.3 billion in the year ending April 2023. This increase in imports was largely driven by an increase in private sector imports of 20%, mainly to develop our nascent oil and the gas sector, foreign direct investment, remittances, and tourism. Madam Speaker, the inflow of foreign direct investment to Uganda amounted to US dollars 2.46 billion in financial year 22-23, and by December 23-24, additional FDI amounting to US dollars 1.27 billion had been attracted. Remittances by Ugandans living and working abroad increased to US dollars 1.43 billion in the calendar year 2023 from US dollars 1.3 billion in the year 2022. Tourism revenues increased to US dollars 1.28 billion in calendar year 2023 from US dollars 1.07 billion in calendar year 2022. Employment. Madam Speaker, job creation ranks top on the government's socio-economic agenda. The number of workers subscribing to the various pension schemes in the country increased more than 3.4 million members in the financial year 23-24, an increase of 4.2% compared to 3.0%, sorry, 0.3 compared to 0.301 million members in financial year 22-23. Madam Speaker, the latest reports indicate that the direct beneficiaries of the Presidential Initiative on Jobs and Wealth Creation, EMIOGA, has reached 2,237,402 in December 2023. In the past 1 year alone, EMIOGA funds have created 378,640 new direct jobs. This was about 40,000 additional new jobs created compared to the new jobs created in the previous year. On the other front, so far, 1.165 million households have received PDM funds worth 1.126 trillion as of May 2024, and estimated to create about 2.5 million jobs. A total of 23,083 youth projects have benefited 263,897 youth under the youth livelihood program in areas of agriculture, trade, services, and industry. This has created over 1,250,000 indirect jobs. Similarly, the National Special Grant for Persons with Disabilities is supporting 6,282 enterprises, benefiting 49,372 persons with disabilities. Madam Speaker, government is also going to create more formal jobs and related livelihoods through a number of project-funded interventions. Notable among these are the GROW and INVITE projects. The GROW program is expected to directly benefit over 80,000 female-owned enterprises, 280,000 female entrepreneurs, and 1.6 million indirect beneficiaries. Another 200,000 new jobs are expected to be created from new investments through the INVITE project. Fiscal performance, Madam Speaker, as a result of a fiscal consolidation agenda, which is intended to enhance revenue collection, limit borrowing for only critical and strategic investments, and control government expenditure. Government's fiscal deficit has reduced to 4.5% of GDP this financial year from 5.5% of GDP last year. Madam Speaker, the projected domestic revenue outturn for financial year 22-24 is shillings 27.725 trillion against the target of shillings 29.672 trillion, leading to a revenue shortfall of over 1.9 trillion. The Uganda Revenue Authority is working hard in in the remaining days to reduce this shortfall. The revenue to GDP ratio is estimated at 13.6% of GDP in financial 23-24. Domestic revenue for financial 24-25 is projected to amount to shillings 31.982 trillion, equivalent to 14.2% of our GDP. Economic growth strategy and outlook. Madam Speaker, Uganda's economic outlook is positive and optimistic. I will repeat this. Madam Speaker, Uganda's economic outlook is positive and optimistic. The economy has remained resilient and has fully recovered from a myriad of internal and external shocks. Next financial year, the economy is projected to get back to Uganda's steady state growth potential of between 6.4% and 7% and double digit over the next 5 years. We are there. It is projected that next financial year, 2024-25, Uganda's GDP will further expand to shillings 225.5 trillion, which is equivalent to US $60 billion. These numbers exclude the anticipated oil and gas revenues as well as the planned interventions to grow the economy tenfold. We shall update the projections in the medium term. Madam Speaker, this growth will be driven by, 1, increased oil and gas activities as we move towards the first oil production in financial year 2025-26. 2, growth in exports supported by increase in regional trade in the East African Community and COMESA, intra-Africa trade, and harnessing existing and new trading partners in the Middle East and Asia. 3, increase in tourism activities supported by investment in tourism infrastructure, branding and marketing, and effective implementation of the meetings, incentives, conferences, and events program. It is that program. Agro-industrialization and light manufacturing supported by access to affordable credit through Uganda Development Bank, investments supported through Uganda Development Corporation, UDC, the Parish Development Model, Small Business Recovery Fund, MIOGA, the Presidential Industrial Hubs for Youth Entrepreneurs, and programs to support exporters, as well as growth and productivity of women enterprises. Private investment growth supported by foreign direct investment, remittances, and stable macroeconomic investment. Continued investment in industrial parks, construction and maintenance of roads and bridges. And finally, the rehabilitation of the meter gauge railway and the commencement of the standard gauge railway, expansion of ICT infrastructure, and provision of reliable and affordable electricity. Madam Speaker, Uganda's growth strategy for the next financial year and in the medium term is anchored on 4 key growth drivers. 1, agro-industrialization. 2, tourism development. 3, mineral development including oil and gas. 4, science, technology, and innovation. These are the anchor sectors that are going to propel Uganda to a $500 billion economy in the next 1.5 decades. Madam Speaker, our growth prospects face some risks that we need to be mitigated. Let me repeat. Our growth prospects face some risks that we need to be mitigated. These include 1, climate change affecting agricultural production and infrastructure. We have just been seeing this a couple of months back. 2, regional and global geopolitical tensions. That one I will not comment. You all know. 3, high interest rates which constrain access to affordable debt. And 4, fluctuations in global commodity prices. To minimize the effects of these risks, government is implementing climate change adaptation measures, exploring cheaper sources of financing, including climate finance, and ensuring frugality in government expenditure. I repeat this, and ensuring frugality in government expenditure. Now I want to account for financial 23-24 and the priorities for financial that we are talking about. Madam Speaker, in the national budget for the financial we are ending, 23-24, that I presented here on June 15th last year, government made a number of commitments intended to deliver on NDP3 priorities, as well as promises we made to the people of Uganda under the NRM manifesto for 21-26. In this section, I provide accountability for what government has achieved so far and what it intends to do to ensure that commitments to the citizens are to a large extent fulfilled. Madam Speaker, I will start with what we have achieved by investing in the people of Uganda through prioritization of health care, education, water, sanitation, and hygiene. Madam Speaker, during financial 23-24, the following milestones have been achieved in the health sector. 1, government commenced the construction of the East African Center of Excellence for cardiovascular care. Thank you. At the Uganda Heart Institute, located in Naguru, and fast-tracking the completion of the East African Center of Excellence for Oncology in Kampala and associated regional centers in Gulu, Mbarara, Arua, and Mbale. They don't encourage me. Under the Uganda Intergovernmental Fiscal Transfer Program, 371 health center tools were planned for construction and upgrade to Health Center 3 status. So far, 261 Health Center tools have been upgraded to Health Center 3s and are fully operational. I hope the Minister of Health can testify on this. An additional 110 are ongoing at different stages. Meanwhile, 10 hospitals were rehabilitated in Usolwe, Kapchorwa, Kambuga, Wenge, Koboko, Amuria, Kotido, Kaberamaido, Kawolo, and Kitgum districts. 3 regional blood banks in Arua, Soroti, and Hoima have been completed. 4, government distributed a total of 25 million long-lasting insecticide-treated mosquito-based nets countrywide for the prevention of malaria. 5, government also provided 116 new ambulances to 100 constituencies, another 10 ambulances for the regional referral hospitals, and 6 for the command center. Speaker, to further enhance the health of Ugandans, a total of shillings 2.946 6 trillion has been provided next financial year, 24-25. The following interventions will be prioritized: promotion and implementation of interventions for the disease prevention and health education initiative, and injuries. 2. Provision of essential medicines, where an additional shillings 100 billion has been provided. Including medical interns and doctors designated as senior house officers. I have provided more wage allocations to facilitate the recruitment of staff for of more health infrastructure and provision of medical equipment to improve quality of care and provision of specialized health care. These include, among others, the Uganda Cancer Institute and regional cancer centers, the Uganda Health Institute, intensive care units, and an imaging center for referral hospitals. Designation of the national health system to facilitate service delivery and tracking of medical supplies and health workers' performance. 6. Construction, rehabilitation, and equipping of dilapidated hospitals across the country, including the Kampala metropolitan area. 7. Strengthening of the network of medical reference laboratories, including the establishment of the East African Community Regional Center of Excellence for Virology at Uganda Virus Research Institute and the National Public Health Institute in Uganda. 8. Establishment of a pharmaceutical industrial park and strengthening the National Drug Authority regulatory framework. Now I turn to education. Madam Speaker, government considers education as a key opportunity equalizer for all Ugandans, equipping them with knowledge and skills required for productive employment, as well as enabling them to live longer, happier, affluent lives. For this reason, the following commitments were prioritized and delivered in financial year 23-24. 1. Skilling in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. 2. Construction and equipping of 21 laboratories across the country in selected secondary schools using UPDF engineering brigade. 3. Upgrading learning facilities in 12 technical institutes and 4 vocational education centers of excellence at Uganda Technical College in Bushenyi, Bukalasa, Lira, and Ergon. 4. Out of 259 seed secondary schools planned under WIGFID, 105 have been completed and 144 are ongoing. Madam Speaker, I have provided 2.497 trillion to further improve the quality of education, and the following are among the priorities. 1. Supporting the new curriculum for S1 to 4 students. 2. Operationalization of all the 110 seed secondary schools and completing the 27 seed secondary schools under the UGIFT program. 3. Commencing the construction of 60 secondary schools and expansion of 61 existing secondary schools under the Uganda Secondary Education Expansion Project. 4. Providing loans to 5,192 degree and 1,125 diploma students who are on the government-funded loan scheme, both continuing students and new beneficiaries. 5. Government takeover of the proposed Bunyoro and Busoga universities for inclusive and equitable access to university education. Ebanyoro, you can talk. You can clap. Because it has been a thorn in my flesh. Social protection. Madam Speaker, in the year we are concluding, government has provided social protection as follows. 1. Continued with the provision of the senior citizen grant to 439,069 older persons across the country, amounting to a cumulative total of money, shillings 565.7 billion. 2. Under the Special Enterprise Grant for Older Persons Program, SEGOP, the government supported 590 group enterprises benefiting 3,636 older persons. 3. Under the Youth Livelihood Program, a total of 23,083 youth projects have benefited 263,897 youth in areas of agriculture, trade, services, and industry. This has created over 1,250,000 direct jobs. And 4, through the National Special Grant for Persons with Disabilities, government is supporting 6,202 enterprises, benefiting 49,372 persons with disabilities. Madam Speaker, government will continue to support the welfare of elderly to keep them healthy and productive in their communities. While social assistance grant for empowerment, what we call SAGE, targets those above 80 years. Above 80 years, SEGOP, ensures let me repeat. While social assistance grant for empowerment, what we call SAGE, targets those above 80 years, SEGOP ensure the inclusion of those in the age bracket of 61 to 71 years. That is for us now. Government will also continue to support the youth and the women beneficiary groups using recovery funds from the Youth Livelihood Program and the Uganda Women's Enterprise Program. For greater efficiency, management of the two programs has been unified. Madam Speaker, I have provided an additional shillings 355.79 billion for social protection next financial year. Water, sanitation, and environment protection. Madam Speaker, as a result of government intervention, more Ugandans now have access to safe, clean water. Coverage in rural areas is now estimated at 67% and 70% in urban areas. Out of the 71,225 villages, 6,617 villages have been served with at least one safe water source. In financial 24-25, clean water coverage will increase to 70% and 85% in rural and urban areas respectively. In the rural areas, the target is to reduce the distance to the nearest source of clean and safe water for human and animal consumption to less than 1 kilometer, while in urban areas to less than 500 meters. The following are among the priorities we have budgeted for this for the next financial year. 1. Construction of 52 large solar-powered water supply systems in 19 districts that are currently at less than 50% water coverage. These are, let me mention them: Agago, Yumbe, Amadat, Kabong, Bulambuli, Buvuma, Buyende, Namuyingo, Rakai, Nakaseke, Sembabuli, Kibale, Hasese, Kiegegwa, Mubende, Yantonde, Kakumiro, Kasanda, and Kisoro. Construction of another 15 solar-powered water supply systems in the rural growth centers of Rwentulege, Bugwara, Kabamba, Chikora, Tuitanzige, Lugara. I don't know whether Muitanzige, but I've written Tuitanzige. I think it should be Muitanzige. Lugara, Kitenga, Bukizibu, Bumwena, Igwaya, Kidera, Bugomorwa, Kitonge Nakasero, Kikonge, Kasese, Lubali. This will cover a population of over 272,000 persons. Completion of the construction of 31 town water supply systems and sanitation facilities in Bulangira, Kanapa, Aligoi, Upengate, Kawo, Karogo, Nyakashaka, Buikwe, Bundibujo, Kapchorwa, Kamuli, Namasale, Kaliro, Namungarwe, Butaleja Busorwe, Budaka Kadama Tirinyi, Kibuku, Kiankwanzi, Butemba, Ngoma, Dunya, Palabekekar, Lamo, Kobong, Lamo, Rhino Camp, Ara Dufle, Amuru, Kole, Alangi, Zeu, Kachingor, Irir, and Lorengachora. Construction of 17 rural water supply systems in the refugee hosting districts of Ajumani, Lamo, Madi, Okoro, Moyo, Terego, and Yumbe. Progress the construction of 26 water supply systems at various stages in Manafa, now at 80%, Mukura 40%, Kidera 40%, Atuturu 40%, Kadunguru 10%, Kaproron 10%, Oyorwa 20%, Bukumi 5%, Rubaya 50%, Bethlehem, Nabigasa, phase 1, 50%, Kabura, Mwizi, phase 1, 50%, Mabira, 50%, Bukiro, 50%, Nyakirira, also 50%, Bugarama, Karweru, 50%, Were, Katere Tere, 50%, Kagarama, Bushura, Kibuzije, also 50%, Nyanseke, 80%, Busare, 95%, Kibuzi, 100%, Adlang, Puranga, Pader, Kasao, phase 1, 5%, Kiebando, Kasimbi, 5%, Nabilatuk, and Dozilang. Increasing the water for production storage capacity for commercial farmers from 52.6 million cubic meters to 76.8 million cubic meters. Madam Speaker, to support the restoration of our environment and reverse the effects of climate change, government shall undertake the restoration of 42,450 hectares of degraded wetlands along the Awoja, Kanyeki, Ruhorobero, Nchwera, Chambura, Kiruruma, Naigombwa, Kibimba, Tochi, Aswa, Sezibwa, Mayanja, Muzizi, Mpanga, and Lumbuye water systems. In addition, government shall demarcate a 720-kilometer boundary with the concrete pillars along the following wetlands: Kibimba, Tochi, Sezebwa, Mayanja, Muzizi, Awoja, Mpologoma, Ishasha, Kandeche, Ruhorobero, Nchwera, Chambura, Kiruruma, and Naigombwa. A total of 15 million seedlings of assorted tree species shall be procured and distributed to individual farmers in several districts, as well as to refugee hosting communities in the Albertine region and in West Nile, as well as individual farmers. Madam Speaker, I have provided shillings 516.78 billion next financial year for climate change mitigation, natural resources, environment, and water resource management. Increasing effectiveness of wealth creation initiative, the parish development model. Madam Speaker, the PDM has now been fully rolled out. A total of shillings 2.4 trillion has so far been provided. The money is being transferred directly to beneficiaries in 10,585 parishes across the country. The introduction of the Wendy application by the government-owned Post Bank and its partners has saved beneficiaries the inconvenience of traveling long distances to open up bank accounts or withdraw their money. It has also enhanced transparency by providing full visibility and traceability for all funds up to the last mile beneficiary. The extensive mobile telephone coverage, both smartphone and KBDT, has helped to lower transaction costs for the PDM beneficiaries. Going forward, government will deepen the use of Wendy and other digital technologies and innovations to enhance financial inclusion and drive efficiency, accessibility, and effectiveness of the program. These technologies will gradually be extended to other wealth creation initiatives. The total of 1.165 million households that have so far received PDM funds have invested in intensive agriculture projects that include poultry, dairy, coffee, piggery, fish, fruits, and food crops. In the next few days, I will release the remaining 529 billion for this financial year directly into the accounts of PDM circles, into the PDM circles. Each PDM circle will continue to receive 100 million shillings. Madam Speaker, 1.599 trillion has been provided next financial year for the additional 100 million per parish to benefit more households. Government will also ensure effective implementation of Pillar 1, which includes input certification, provision of extension services, storage, value addition, and market linkages. Now in Myoga. Madam Speaker, to date, government has provided a total of 480 billion through Myoga. Out of this, a total of shillings 268 billion has been disbursed to 6,810 Myoga circles. The beneficiaries have been able to save 85 billion to further grow their circle funds. As a result, 607,636 individuals across the country have benefited from Myoga funds, and shillings 80.28 billion has been recovered from the first round beneficiaries and is being advanced to others. We should clap for my colleague Kasoro. May I repeat this? Let me repeat it. I can see you didn't get it well. Myoga. Madam Speaker, to date, government has provided a total of shillings 480 billion through Myoga. Out of this, a total of shillings 268 billion has been disbursed to 600,810 Emyoga circles. The beneficiaries have been able to save 85 billion to further grow their circle funds. As a result, 636 individuals across the country have benefited from the Emyoga funds, and shillings 80.28 billion has been recovered from the first round beneficiaries and is being advanced to others. Madam Speaker, in the next financial year 24-25, I have provided an additional 100 billion under Emyoga to support more Ugandans to create wealth and boost their incomes. Agricultural Credit Facility. Madam Speaker, since 2009, government has partnered with banks to support commercialization of agriculture through a credit guarantee scheme that provides up to 50% of the money loaned to a farmer. Cumulatively, government has invested 303 billion Uganda shillings, causing a cumulative loan disbursement of 860 billion. This money has enabled a total of 3,868 agricultural projects to access patient capital for commercial on-farm investment, post-harvest management, agro-processing, and trade in agricultural produce. Next financial year, government will continue to capitalize the SF with an additional of 30 billion Uganda shillings. Capitalization of UDB. Madam Speaker, Uganda Development Bank has grown into a formidable shillings 1.3 trillion bank in assets, providing patient and relatively affordable capital to those adding value to agricultural materials, manufacturers, as well as investors in tourism and hospitality, infrastructure, and education. It has created a total of 51,841 jobs. During financial 24-25, the bank will continue to provide capital to businesses involved in value addition, including promotion of innovation in the areas of science and technology. It will also support youth-led enterprises, manufacturers, and also provide working capital to exporters and those involved in import substitution. Green financing is also going to be enhanced to ensure climate adaptation and mitigation. To achieve this, government is going to further capitalize UDB with another 55 billion Uganda shillings. Government is also in the process of acquiring for UDB credit lines worth 0.83 trillion to lend more to wealth creators. Support to SMEs. Madam Speaker, 2 years ago, government set up Small Business Recovery Fund to provide soft loans to SMEs that had suffered financial distress during COVID-19. Government provided 100 billion shillings to be equally matched by banks to extend credit to the target beneficiaries at 10% interest rate. At a disbursement of 18.4 billion so far, supporting 1,454 businesses. Uptake of this fund has been low. Next financial government and the Bank of Uganda are going to relax the requirements to ensure increased uptake of the SBF, to uptake the SBRF to support small and medium enterprise growth. Invite and Growth Program. Madam Speaker, government is also implementing 2 programs, namely the Generating Growth Opportunity and Productivity for Women Enterprise, GROW, worth US dollars 217 million or shillings 824 billion, and the Investment for Industrial Transformation and Employment Invite, worth US dollars 210 million, which is equivalent to 800 shillings billion. These funds are intended to support women-owned enterprises and value addition for export. Madam Speaker, government is also working hard to reduce the time, cost, complexity of business registration and licensing. A business facilitation center has been set up to centralize all business investor-related services to speed up registration and operationalization of businesses. Services that used to require weeks or months are now accomplished in just a couple of hours. This is going to enhance Uganda's competitiveness even further. Agro-industrialization. Madam Speaker, government is committed to commercializing agriculture to enhance production and productivity and improve competitiveness of agricultural products in both regional and international markets. The following are some of the key milestones achieved during this financial year in the area of agro-industrialization. 1. Establishment of an infra-safe facility at Namulongo to help in the management of aflatoxins in cereals and nuts. 2. Construction of the local anti-tick vaccine manufacturing facility also at Namulonge to produce vaccines against tick-borne diseases. This will save the country US dollars 1.1 billion, which is lost annually due to tick-borne diseases, and tap into the shillings 3 trillion regional market for meat and milk. Increase the coverage of large-scale farmer mechanization to 40% from 32% in financial 22-23. A total of 1,240 tractors with all their accessories and additional 750 units of single-axle trucks were procured and distributed countrywide. Government also provided a number of policy tax-related support to private sectors so that we forget about that. Somebody messed me up. Madam Speaker, in the financial 2024-25 budget, I have allocated a total of shillings 1.878 trillion towards deepening agro-industrialization with increased focus on commercialization and value addition in agriculture. The priority areas include: 1. More investment in research and genetic development of selected value chains for animal, fish, and crop varieties. 2. Support for pest, vector, and disease control and prevention. In particular, I have provided an additional 427.21 billion to procure and distribute 44 million doses of vaccines against foot and mouth disease. After the current vaccination exercise, farmers will access the vaccines through government stores by meeting 100% cost of the vaccine, while the government will cover the cost of vaccine administration. Support to narrow to roll out the anti-tick vaccine, starting with 20 million doses. 4. De-risking agriculture through supporting increased production and productivity, as well as value addition for all priority value chains. 5. More support for agricultural mechanization. 6. Increased investment in small and large irrigation systems, particularly solar-powered irrigation. 7. Support for seed multiplication through the Uganda prisons to increase seed availability for PDM beneficiaries. And 8. Additional credit support to large-scale commercial farmers to ensure food security and increased exports. Now we turn to tourism development. Madam Speaker, Uganda has increasingly regained her global position among the top 10 best tourism destinations in the global tourism ranking. In the year 2023, international tourist arrivals increased by 56% to 1.2 274 million tourists compared to 885 arrivals in the year 2022, and the peak of 1.52 million in year 2019. The international tourism receipts reached US dollars 1.03 billion in calendar year 2023. Madam Speaker, tourism has a high return on investment. Madam Speaker, tourism has a high return on investment. In financial year 24-25, I have provided shillings 289.6 billion to the Tourism Development Program to undertake the following. 1. Support international and domestic tourism marketing and promotion activities. 2. Modernize our tourism products to make them more competitive. These include completion of the pier and related infrastructure at the source of the Nile, upgrading the Uganda Museum, construction of 800 to 8,000 meters of climbing ladders and boardwalks on the Rwenzori Mountains to make hiking safer. 3. Continue with grading, supervision, and classification of tourism facilities to enhance the quality of services and ensure adherence to required global standards. 4. Complete the upgrade of Uganda Hotel and Tourism Training Institute infrastructure in an effort to make it an international center of excellence for training and skills development in tourism and hospitality. And 5. Enhance the conservation of Uganda's 22 wildlife protected areas with a focus on mitigation of human-wildlife conflicts. Government is going to construct an additional 150 kilometers of electric fence and maintain the existing 106-kilometer fence, carry out boundary surveillance through more than 13,904 patrols, uproot invasive species, and construct 4 water dams in the protected areas. Madam Speaker, apart from the shillings 287.6 billion that I have directly provided to the tourism sector, an additional shillings 1.629 trillion has been provided for several critical interventions associated with tourism, including support to Uganda Life Authority, construction of tourism roads, road rehabilitation, and upgrade under Kampala Capital City Authority, support to AFCON 27, and the completion of key stadia, strengthening security, law and order in our tourism destinations, and extension of internet to tourism destinations, among others. In particular, I have provided an additional 55 billion Uganda shillings to Uganda's mission abroad to support Uganda Tourism Board to market Uganda to potential tourists, market our exports, and attract more investors. Science, technology, and innovation. Madam Speaker, government has earmarked science, technology, and innovation as a key catalyst for the qualitative leap to achieve tenfold growth of our economy. This financial year, building on investments made in recent years, the following are the key achievements contained. Kira Motors Corporation. Government has supported Kira Motors to construct and equip a magnificent 2,500 vehicles per year manufacturing plant in Jinja Industrial Park. This facility has capabilities for bus and truck body manufacture, vehicle painting, powertrain manufacture, electronic key systems, and trim integration and production quality inspection and testing. The complex has so far manufactured 39 buses, of which 27 are electric and 12 are low emission diesel. The company has orders of more than 100 buses from Tanzania, South Africa, Eswatini, formerly Swaziland, and Nigeria. This demonstrates the huge market potential for the vehicles. Kira Motors Corporation currently directly employs 168 people in engineering, production, marketing, and sales, and finance and administration. This number will increase to 600 once the plant in Jinja is fully operational. Madam Speaker, next financial year, government is going to support Kira Motors with shilling 32.5 billion to complete the plant and access working capital. Presidential Initiative on Banana Industrial Development, PIBID. Madam Speaker, government has supported PIBID to establish a semi-automated plant in Bushenyi with the daily processing capacity of 14 metric tons of fresh matoke. These projects have shown potential for import substitution by replacing wheat and also by providing gluten-free starch products. These have high global demand. The company has started fulfilling international orders, including from South Korea, the Royal Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Italy. PIBID currently employs 150 staff and collaborating with 6,543 farmers. Next financial year, government has provided an additional 50 billion to complete the capitalization of the company to transition into a self-sustaining business. The pathogen economy. Madam Speaker, the pathogen economy has made tremendous progress in developing vaccines, therapeutics, diagnostics, and other health care tools for our public health security and import substitution. The scientists at Makerere University developed a PCR diagnostic kit that has so far been used to conduct more than 2 million COVID-19 tests. This kit effectively halved the COVID-19 testing and saved Uganda more than US dollars 37 billion, that is shillings 140 billion Uganda shillings. A clinical trials platform for natural therapeutics, the first on the African continent. Let me repeat this. You know, when I hear something so good about Uganda, I want everybody to listen. A clinical trial platform for natural therapeutics, the first on the African continent, has been established. The human vaccines have completed animal studies and are under preparation for clinical trials. Madam Speaker, other government support under the pathogen economy has been directed towards the following special initiatives. 1. Day by Pharma Limited is establishing Africa's largest pharmaceutical and vaccine manufacturing facility here in Uganda. You cannot take the road to Bombo, you will see. The facility will create job opportunities for more than 10,000 science professionals and 30,000 others in support of the ecosystem. Production of generic drugs, cancer drugs, and human vaccines is scheduled to start by November this year. Government in the process of finalizing equity acquisition in exchange for its shilling 723 billion investment. The anti-tick vaccine project at Makerere University, spearheaded by Dr. Margaret Saimo Kahua, has undergone clinical trials. I have provided an additional 25 billion to produce and commercialize the anti-tick vaccine. Government has also supported Jenna Hubs of Professor Patrick Ogwang, known for COVIDEX, to undertake clinical trials of his natural therapeutics and establish an internationally certified production facility to manufacture and commercialize them. I have provided an additional shillings 2.07 billion for this purpose next financial year. We congratulate him. Support Professor Serwanga Sampara to advance research in human vaccines. I have provided an additional shillings 225.4 billion needed to complete the research and start producing the vaccine. Coffee value chain development. Madam Speaker, government has partnered with private sector to fast-track local value addition to coffee. We have started with 3 Apex centers for high-value coffee processing under the Coffee Investment Consortium, Great Lakes Coffee, and Inspire African Coffee. All have acquired modern roastery, freeze-dry and spray-dry technologies to produce instant, roast and ground coffee products, coffee capsules, cold brew, and instant coffee with a total capacity of 585,000 metric tons per year. One of the facilities is complete while the other is 62% complete. Government will support the completion and expansion of these facilities, the operationalization and market penetration of the products on the local, regional, and international market. The target is to aggregate, add value, and market at least 1 million bags of medium to high quality coffee, green coffee beans by 2025. This will earn Uganda shillings 560 billion, Uganda shilling, no, sorry. This will earn Uganda shillings 560 million US dollars from value-added coffee in the next 5 years, which would catalyze the whole sector to bring in at least US dollars 5 billion in line with our 10-fold growth strategy. Shillings 75 billion has been provided next financial year to improve coffee value chain development. Space program. Madam Speaker, government has supported rapid human capital development of the aerospace program by training our engineers in Japan, China, and Egypt. Government partially furnished the headquarters of the space program, the Impoma Satellite Earth Station, to enhance weather prediction and monitoring landslides and the environment. Government will support completion of these initiatives, including the establishment of a satellite development laboratory and a modern geospatial center to be able to obtain data from a broad spectrum of satellites from partner nations. I have provided 3.3 billion for space program activities next financial. Madam Speaker, I want to commend His Excellency the President for spearheading the development of the knowledge economy through targeted funding of research and development and scientists in general. You are very mean. The president does do this kind of thing and you don't clap for him. Madam, mineral development now. I'm moving to mineral development. Madam Speaker, mineral development is another growth accelerator that has been earmarked by government to expand Uganda's economy by 10-fold. It is going to support resource-based industrialization into light manufacturing and high-tech exports. During the financial year we are ending, the following have been achieved in the minerals sector. 1, the entire country has now been fully mapped using airborne and ground geophysical technologies. 2, the National Mining Company has been incorporated as a commercial vehicle for investment and trading in minerals on behalf of the government of Uganda. 3, several key mineral development projects and mineral value addition centers have been developed, including Wagagai for gold mining in Busia, rare earth metals in Bugweri, a graphite project in Kitgum, limestone mining project by Sunbird Resource Limited in Moroto, and 7 gold refineries in Kampala, among others. Mrs. Woodcross Tin Smelting Company has established a tin smelter in Western Uganda to produce tin ingots to 99.95% tin grade. Madam Speaker,